Dealing with an accident and injury claim can be overwhelming. Let Phillips Law Firm fight for you. We understand the pain and suffering, and we're here to guide you through. Call 1-800-JUSTICE today for a free case review, or visit justiceforyou.com and let Phillips Law Firm help you on the road to recovery.
Hey there, everybody. I'm Melvin Robert from the TV show Extra. Every day on our show, we talk to the biggest celebrities and the biggest newsmakers around. We get exclusive details about hookups and breakups, baby news, and the behind-the-scenes info from your favorite TV shows and movies. But we can only fit so much on our show. That's where Extra the Podcast comes in. Listen and follow Extra the Podcast and Odyssey Podcast on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcast.
Hey, it's Mike Hawk. Want more Men's Room content? Follow the Men's Room page of the Odyssey app and check out my live stream, A Moment with Mike Hawk and Nothing in Particular with Steve the Thrill Hill. Going live Thursdays and Fridays at 1 exclusively on the Men's Room page of the Odyssey app.
Unfortunately, what you're about to hear is real. The members of this radio program are simply not that bright, or what some people would call educated. They are merely stupid. They're not trying to offend anyone on purpose. And all have played doctors on TV. You have been warned and are cordially invited to join the party. This is the Men's Room.
Forget it, man, and get with the countdown. Get with the countdown. Shake this square world and blast off for Kicksville. The trippers, the grasshoppers, the hip ones, all gathered in secrecy and flying high as a kite.
This is the Men's Room with Miles and Thrill. You know what they say, shake your radio more than 3 times, and you're playing with it. You're listening to the Men's Room.
And away we go. Welcome to Season 18, Episode number 3,958. Along with Steve the Thrill Hill, the Chad Smith, and Mike Hawk. Montgomery! And you are the Men's Room. On tap today, the return of Who Sucks Less. We will play Profile This. Plus headlines, the Men's Room Shout of the Day, fun listener emails, and everyone's favorite, TV Time with Tim.
Clack, clack. Drinking the drunk.
All right, here we go. Guess what happens when you put your head in the world's most powerful fountain? Meanwhile, a scientist puts on a bird head, then heads up the mountain. Bro brings it in and sets the world record for hugs. Robbers try to blast open safe at Wendy's with slugs. And a woman and her new baby born get their parking validated at a Maryland hospital. That is all coming on today's very special episode of The Men's Room.
And now, here's the question.
Hola, bitches. Good day to you and yours. All right, with Labor Day around the corner, kids returning to school is imminent, and in no way am I smiling about that. But with that in mind, school districts and medical experts across the country, they're issuing reminders and guidelines for dealing with potential lice outbreaks, which, fair enough, we hear about it every year, thus the whole you have cooties thing. However, a school in Kentucky does not have a lice problem. No, they have a bat problem. Now, they're not sure exactly how many bats are flying around Wright Elementary School, but it's enough bats that they are officially declaring it a problem. By the way, they point out, well, we caught 2 of the bats. We tested them for rabies. Good news, one of them doesn't have it. Meanwhile, in California, the Santa Rosa City Hall, they had to shut down temporarily because of a flea infestation. They expect to open in just a few more hours as soon as they get rid of those pesky fleas. And in a small southwestern Texas town, residents there are demanding that local leaders do something about the infestation of red flower beetles. I looked them up. Essentially, they're harmless. They're universal. They're everywhere on this earth. But you hate them, and they just cause problems. But at the same time, Florida, in addition to hurricanes and floods, they continue to deal with the giant African land snails that showed up there a few years ago. I did not know this, but those things eat 500 different types of plants, and they carry rat lungworm, which can cause meningitis in human beings. Good times. And then just this morning, a load of 5 million bees fell off of a truck near Toronto. And now I could go on, but I think you get the point. But today, we're talking about infestations, scourges, and pestilence. You see, today we want to know, what was the unwanted nuisance that you had to deal with?
Be part of the big show. Call 206-803-ROCK. Like the Men's Room on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Men's Room Live, and send your emails to the Men's Room at KISW.com.
The debauchery rolls on. You're listening to the Men's Room with Miles and Thrill. 99.9 KISW.
Oh, but y'all, away we go. Welcome to Season 18, episode number 3,958. What a large and in charge program we have for you today.
Do we
Guaranteed
really?
future repeat. Hell yeah, we do.
Yeah,
Exciting return of Who Sucks Less.
Oh, yeah.
Somehow, Steve, you find people in the news doing bad things. You bring us 3 stories a week. It's up to us to determine, out of the 3 stories, which one sucks the least. How are we looking this week?
Dead-eye bad news. This one is real bad, man.
Is it?
No, not at all. This
all right.
one, I just know it really
That's not your style to give a heads up when you're going to hammer us.
I mean, this one, look, the people will annoy you. They'll annoy everyone. You're not really going to be mad. You're just going to be annoyed. But we're calling this particular episode of Who Sucks Less the It's All About Me edition.
Oh, okay.
All right.
It's all about me. So let me ruin it for everybody else. That seems to be the general theme for all 3 of these.
Okay. All right. Who Sucks Less coming up. And as we do every Monday through Friday, you get more Men's Room exclusively on the Odyssey app. Join us for episode number 452 of the Men's Room Happy Hour. If you don't have the Odyssey app, download it now. It's absolutely free. Everything is on one page as far as the Men's Room show is concerned. Basically, our daily podcasts are on there. Ted, I know you caught a new The Podcast. And
Correct.
Megacast.
Correct.
Greatest Story Never Told podcast is on there. Our Men's Room radio channel, which we've been listening to all week.
We have, yeah.
They let us put together our own little radio station of our favorite music. And I mean, it is all across the board as far as
Man, oh, man.
all
There's
the
some
genres.
Weird segues in there.
Yeah, we got
to say that.
But it's an interesting.
It sounds better.
It's an interesting mix of music. I really like it.
Yeah.
I love the fact that we go from country to rock to,
Hip-hop,
boy
you name it.
bands, NWA, and I don't know.
Tell me another
Luke
station
Bryan.
that goes from Public Enemy to Backstreet Boys to Clutch to, like, I don't know, who the hell sings the guy trying to get the Amarillo?
George Strait.
George Strait.
Amarillo by morning.
Yeah.
Amarillo
All
by
on one
morning.
spot, the Men's Room radio channel. So definitely check that out.
The Men's
Also-
Room, the Men's Room radio channel basically is somebody's just going, put it in the queue.
Yeah.
Whatever you want, put it in the queue.
That's it. And of course, there's the Men's Room Happy Hour channel on there. It used to go live at 6, and the Men's Room Happy Hour does. But now, 24 hours a day on the Men's Room Happy Hour channel, we're just playing old replays of our show. So you can listen to that anytime. You can download specific days. All that stuff is in one place. So we'll see you coming up for the Men's Room Happy Hour at episode number 452. On Odyssey. And our question today, what was the unwanted nuisance that you had to deal with? We'll start with one fresh off the presses today as we go to Canada. And Halton Regional Police outside of Toronto spent hours this morning working to contain millions of bees that fell off a truck onto the roadway in Burlington this morning.
Who exactly do you call with bees? Right? Because I know the fire department always seems to get the call if it's not like crime related. But if I'm a fireman, just no, it's bees. We don't know how to deal with bees.
Animal control, and they got a bee guy.
I guess.
Does he have a flamethrower?
That's my thought, man. Like, you ain't getting
I'm
the bees
calling the
back.
guy who's got a flamethrower, man. If you got one of those dudes around, it just seems like that would be the best defense mechanism.
Well, the problem is, like, whoever you call, you got to keep in mind, the person you're calling specifically, you're trying to save the bees. Like, I could call, if you're out to kill the bees, well, you could call me. I got a lighter and some hairspray, man. I'll do my best. But they have to go out there and, like, safely get these bees, which what is the trick to that? Is there like a bee call? Like, if there's a dog, you can just say, come here, boy.
Are they honeybees? It depends on the type of bees they are. And I'm assuming they are.
They're honeybees.
It seems to me like they're a little bit more docile.
What?
Well, I know they've been disrupted because they fell off the back of a
That's
truck.
what I'm saying. They're in a bad mood when you get there.
But beekeepers, you'll see some come in all kinds of hazmat suits, but those aren't the ones that actually are beekeepers. Beekeepers are the ones that pull the thing out, take all the honeycombs and all the honey off of it, put it back in, and rarely get stung.
But don't they use like tobacco smoke or something to make sure that? So I don't think they just go out there and just like rip the thing out of there.
We got them on top of our building.
I know we do.
And I've been in an area where you go in and you sit where they. Oh God! I was in Victoria, Canada, and they have the old Fairmount Hotel.
Well, they're like the tea room or something like that.
Well, that's it. It's old English tea. It's like they have high tea, and it's a big deal. And every time my mom's there, like, I gotta get high tea.
Is it just tea and a cucumber sandwich?
Actually, it's really good. Yes, the tea
a
is
cucumber sandwich. Come on, man.
It's not bad. I swear to you, I thought the same thing. I'm like, okay.
It sounds like prison.
I've had them before.
What the high tea cucumber sandwich? What sets this cucumber sandwich apart from
probably because you never wanted one or had one.
I was gonna say, if you like cucumber, it's pretty simple. And then don't you get you get a scone with jam or something or cream?
It's just a couple of bites of food and some tea. Anyway, they curate their own honey there.
Of course they do.
So they have this area where you go in and you sit, and I see all these beehives, and there's a sign that says, "Yeah, come on in." And I'm like, all right, I'm going to do it. You know what I mean? If they say it's okay, there's an old lady wandering around in there, I'm going to go in there. And she started showing me stuff. She started pulling out drawers, and all the bees are in there. I'm like, whoa. And she's like, no, it's fine.
What are they doing? Are they just crawling around?
They're making honey.
Okay.
They're making honey for the tea. They know their job. So their job is strictly for high tea. That's basically the only reason they are there.
Isn't honey bee vomit? So when they're making honey, you just pull it open, they're all just like...
I don't know if the bee knows he's making honey for tea. It's just what he does.
What if they send
those bees do that? They can only work in high class.
If you're a TV reporter in Toronto and they say, "Ted, we need you to go out to where these bees
5 million
and do a live shot for us on the interstate," are you willing to go out there and do a stand up?
Sure, but I'm going to need a net around my head, and I'm putting on pants and a jacket.
I'm doing it from the van.
Yeah. The truck was hauling the boxes of bees on a flatbed trailer, so it just slid the hell off. Officers quickly responded, warning drivers to keep their windows closed when passing by, and hopefully to close their vents. Aerial footage of the scene showed people in white beekeeper suits, so they didn't even go in there. They sent a helicopter up, placing dozens of crates back onto the trailers. They're actually trying to load them back in. According to the police, the pickup was transporting about 5 million bees. Thanks to the overwhelming response from beekeepers coming to help, we expect the scene to be cleared in about 30 minutes. Police said in a post on social media on Wednesday morning. That's impressive.
Who are you going to call?
The local
beekeepers.
The local bee collective came to the rescue. Majority of the bees have already been safely collected in crates and be hauled away.
Majority, sure.
Mm-hmm. Pedestrians have been cautioned to avoid the area altogether, as a number of the bees do remain in the vicinity. Police said they have left some crates in the area for the bees to return to, so they hope to just go back and all the bees find their crate and pick them back up again. But they do say do not approach or touch the crates being left behind for the bees. They will be collected once the bees have returned, according to the police.
You remember that movie, The Swarm?
I do. Oh, my God, yes.
That movie, look, I was a kid when this movie came.
It freaked me out.
Terrible 70s movie. It's when the African killer bees make it.
The first scene was a couple, a young teenage couple in a car.
Right.
And they were underneath a tree, and they were getting ready to make out.
Right.
Now, a 7-year-old me at this time, 6-year-old me, my grandmother took me to the movie, and she did go up to the theater and said, "Is this a kid-appropriate movie? I know it's R-rated, but is it kid-appropriate?" And the guy goes, "Oh, yeah, you'll love it." My grandmother was so pissed because I was in there crying, and we had to leave early. After like 3 scenes. This is a true story. Oh, yes.
You made 3 scenes.
She said I made it like 15 minutes, and I started crying and hold on and grabbing her arm.
I made it through the whole movie. The scenes I remember most. And again, I'm
serious. I was in 1st or 2nd grade. I just remember she told me I freaked out.
If you were 6, I was 7, right? So same general mindset. And
I might have been 5. I think it came out earlier.
They took down a helicopter. I remember that. So a guy, they knew the bees were there, and I don't know whoever the guy was, flew the helicopter through the scene. Well, that made the bees angry. So the bees swarmed the helicopter, took the helicopter down. And I remember thinking, okay, this is bad. And then at one point, your bee experts show up because they're there to solve the problem. So you just assume they're going to survive, Ted. Well, wouldn't you know it, the bees attacked a costume party. And at the costume party, there was a guy dressed as a pirate. And instead of having a plastic sword, like most people, he has a real metal sword. So they're now attacking him. The beekeeper people, they're running up the street. They've got their suits on. And this guy's and it was a slow motion scene because the 70s love that. And he's flailing his sword around, right? Because he's trying to swat the bees away. Well, the bees take him down, but with his final slash of the sword, he doesn't cut one of the beekeepers, but he cuts their outfit. Mm-hmm. And the bees instantly recognize that there's a rip there. They fly into his beekeeping outfit, and I remember watching his helmet fill up with bees as he screamed and died. Jesus. So by the time the movie ended, you go outside and you would see a single bee, and it's like, I'm going inside now. I was terrified of bees for 3 years after that.
No, it freaked me. It freaked me the hell out. It really did.
The bees around my house right now. Okay, so it took me about 4 days to piece this together. I'd always see one bee. I'm outside of my house smoking a cigarette. Right? Got my little chair out there, smoking. I see the bee fly in. Kind of flies behind me. The chair's basically up against the house, but whatever. I don't think anything about it. Next time I go out to smoke, I see a bee. Maybe it's the same one. Maybe it's a different one. Kind of flies behind me, and I turn around. There's no nest. I can't figure this out, but I don't see them fly back out. Whatever. Third bee comes flying in. So now I'm going to see, what is he doing? I realize they've made a little mini nest inside of the chair that I'm actively sitting on smoking. Mm-hmm. They're directly behind my head, and this chair rocks back and forth. They don't mind me. I don't know what it is, but this has been 4 or 5 days now that I realize this is going on. I'll hear them buzzing directly behind my head. They don't sting me. They don't give me a look. They just fly right by me, go in the chair. Even when I rock it, because I gave it a few test fires. You know,
wasn't smoke how you calm them down?
It is, but I'm blowing smoke the exact opposite direction.
Sure, it still helps.
I did blow in there once, just kind of like, let's see what happens. No, they don't bite me. So I'm like, all right, cool. But if I tell my kid that the bees have made a nest in the chair, he will not step foot outdoors.
I wonder if the type of smoke has any effect.
I don't. I mean, I just know that's what they're always like pushing out smoke.
Right. But, if they torch a little bit of weed and throw it out there too.
Oh, I'm sure they'd be real chill. They'd probably come out of the nest and rest on my shoulder like, he's okay.
I'll tell you one of the damnedest things I've ever seen. I was probably 23, 24 years old, and my uncle's uncle, so my great uncle, I guess, he lived down in Nags Head in Kill Devil Hills area of North Carolina. So my girlfriend at the time, who would eventually be my wife, she was, we were younger, and we were going to take a vacation. And so my uncle says, hey, my other Uncle Bill, he's got some people he knows, and they have a hotel down in Nags Head. Do you want to go down there and stay and spend a couple days?
Sure.
Absolutely. Okay, no big deal. That's awesome. We'll go down for a little weekend vacation. We get down there, and there is basically the equivalent of the remnants of a tropical storm or a tropical storm coming in or whatever the deal was. It wasn't that big of a deal. Now, this is an old beach hotel. And it's like the Beach Rider.
Okay.
And if you know anything about that area, they put them, in that area of the country, for whatever reason, it's the storm capital of the East, they still will put stuff right on the beach.
Absolutely.
You literally open up your slider and you're walking onto sand. And
I ever get hit by hurricanes, don't sweat.
There's a little bit of a retaining wall, and that's about it. You take 2 steps up, you are on the beach at this hotel. Unfortunately for us, and I know, Ted, your dad had a bug infestation in a hotel that you guys were staying at. The water starts to come down that little retaining wall, which is about 2 feet high, and starts coming under the door. This is the first night. So we put all of our luggage on top because we're getting out of there.
Yeah.
We put all the luggage on top of the bed real quick. We're trying to clear some stuff up. We have flip-flops on. It's not the worst deal in the world to be in ankle-deep water.
Sure.
But the water is rushing into all of the rooms. So everybody in that hotel, we all have the same plan. You can't put your luggage outside yet because the water is seriously coming over the wall. Every time a wave comes in, it's crashing up against the door. You can hear it hit the door of this hotel. This hotel is like an old 40s, 50s hotel. It's gone through this a million times, I bet.
Right.
It's still standing there, I bet, to this day. It's just like... It's insane how close they are to the water. At any rate, I go to the front desk or whatever, like, hey, man, we're checking out. You know, your water. He's like, I know. The guy's understanding, this happens. He said, we'll pump the water out. It should be out by tomorrow. You guys can check back in. I'm like, no, I ain't doing that. But in the time that I went and the wife went to the car to load everything back into the car, I'm in the front. We're trying to check the hell out of there. All of the bugs that were in that room, which we did not know how many bugs were in that room, were crawling up the dressers. They were all over the bed. They were crawling up the sink. They were basically what you couldn't see behind the walls, underneath the furniture. Everything was being flooded.
Good God!
All those bugs were coming out of the building, man, and they were looking for the high ground.
And what kind of bugs were there? Or was it just any kind of bug?
A lot of flat bugs that look like roaches. And
I think I know the ones you're talking about.
You name it. It was a myriad of everything that lives down there. And they were all going for high ground. So it was the damn, like the bed, I'm like, good thing you got that luggage out there.
Right. I'll keep it covered.
I got a sweatshirt on there. I'm like, Jesus God, man. I pulled that thing off. And it was insane. I was like, there are a lot of bugs in this building. That's a very humid area. It's a very buggy area.
Yeah.
But that's what hurricanes do. We used to work with a woman when we lived in Baltimore. She was excited to visit her friend. I can't remember if it's the Caribbean or maybe Costa Rica. But anyway, a hurricane was coming. She knew that. But when she got back from her trip, we said, hey, man, how was it? And she goes, look, the day I landed, I get a taxi. I ride to my friend's house. And then I call her from her drive, because her driveway kind of angled up toward the house, and the entire driveway was covered with tarantulas because they were looking for high ground. So she's like, what do I do? And her friend's like, grab your suitcase, walk on top of them. They're not going to park for you. You got to walk up the driveway to my home. I'm like, did you do it? She's like, it took me 10 minutes to get the guts to do it, but the only way is to get up to her house.
Walk on the tarantulas.
she's like, I just walked through tarantulas and I'm in there just popping and grinding under my feet. I'm like, dude, no.
I knew it was a cheap room. I knew it was free. I appreciate it, or a discounted price. I appreciated all that. But as soon as I got that single key with like the triangle or diamond shaped
big ass, yeah.
I was like, like room 102.
Uh-oh.
There's like 6, 7.
Yeah, and like, right, you only get those at those beach hotels.
Oh, I know. I was like, you don't even need the key. You're just like, oh, it's open. Right. What was the unwanted nuisance that you had to deal with? 206-803-ROCK.
Ins continue. This is the Men's Room with Miles and Thrill.
A few unexpected visitors have one family ready to move. Go to Jonesboro, Arkansas. According to Zach Brown, Zachariah Brown, she and her family have been forced to live with
about chicken fries?
7 opossums since last week. How in the hell would you say that? Back Zachariah?
Zachariah? Call him Zach Brown.
It's a woman, though. It's a woman is the problem.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like Zachariah.
That's a lot of I's.
ZAKKIYYIAH.
Zachariah?
Zachariah?
I don't know. Who the hell would do that to their kid? See, that's why this happened to you.
No.
She and her family have been forced to live with 7 opossums since last week. It all started when Brown noticed the first one while she was in the bathroom painting her toenails. I looked a couple of times and thought I saw something, but the third time there was something. It was on the side of my foot just sitting there. You have your toenails painted, don't you, Ted?
I went with a clear coat.
Clear coat,
yes.
yeah.
Were there any possums?
When I was getting my toes done?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, you didn't get the full
Because you did it in
experience.
Montana, did you?
We did, yeah.
Well,
there was a cougar and a bear.
But no possums.
Right. What did you do in Montana? Got my toes done.
It is odd. I got my first pedicure in Montana.
I can't believe it.
Yo, Montana pedicure. Well, I'm going to kill me an elk, and then me and my buds hanging out there for about a half hour.
I looked a couple of times and thought I saw something. The third time there was something. It was on its side, and my foot was just sitting there. The interaction has Brown fed up with the situation. She said she found one who was just looking to hang out in the bathroom. Then early this morning, my kids are getting ready for school. My daughter went to go brush her teeth, and it was hanging on the towel rack. I mean, hanging on the towel rack by its tail. My son, 13-year-old, kind of trapped him and grabbed him. Now, opossums are mostly nocturnal, but are sometimes seen in daylight, especially when food is scarce. Last few we caught during the day, and Brown said that that's enough for her and her family to just pack up and move. Now that they're coming out in the daytime, it's time to go because it's been the last 2 or 3 we caught in the morning. Every morning before kids go to the bathroom or go to school, I just want out of this place. She was able to catch 3 of them, but she said there are still 4 on the loose that she knows of. Brown also said there's not been too much help getting them out. She said she called the animal control, but as of Thursday, she's not heard anything. They never showed up. Thankfully, the police did, though, but no animal control. Brown talked to her landlord and is set to move out next week. Our question, what was the unwanted nuisance that you had to deal with? 206-803-ROCK.
By the way, Miles, someone says that her name is pronounced Zakia.
Zakia.
It's got to be an easy way to spell that.
She's never getting anything with her name on it.
No license plates for you.
Well, when somebody told us how to say it, I can fathom it, but
sure,
still a lot of vowels.
Zakia. Zacajawea.
Zakia. Like if Arnold Schwarzenegger say, what car did you drive? Zakia. Sentra. Hello, Micah. Welcome to the men's room.
Hey, what's happening, boys? How's it going?
Hola.
Hey. So I got a B story of my own for you. When I was probably 12 or 13, it was middle of the summer. Me and my siblings are hanging out in the front yard, and we just start hearing this low hum, like just this humming noise. So we all start looking around, and up in the sky, floating through our neighborhood, is this giant black buzzing cloud, and it's just moving through the neighborhood. So my older brother and I, we chased our younger ones into the house, and we're hanging out in the front yard watching this thing float through the neighborhood. And it came up to our roof and kind of hovered above our roof for a minute, and then moved to the next door neighbor's roof and hovered above the next door neighbor's roof for a minute, and then started funneling down their chimney.
Oh, like, God.
This giant cloud just swarmed down their chimney. So my brother and I go running over there, pounding on their door. There's nobody home. So, but we know that their house is full of bees now. So we ended up making these big, like, cardboard signs, and we put them on their front door and their garage door that just said, bees, don't go in, all this stuff in like big bold letters. And they ended up being on vacation for the weekend. So they didn't get home until like a few days later, and they came knocking on our door, and my dad had to explain to them like what we saw and everything, and that like their house was going to be full of bees. So they ended up calling a beekeeper to come out, because who do you call for bees? And this guy was up on the roof with a shop vac, vacuuming bees out of their freaking chimney with a shop vac. And he said that, like, as long as he caught the queen, he'd be able to set up a hive for him at his place. But within a few days, their whole chimney was clogged up with honeycomb and the beeswax and stuff, and they had to have the whole thing cleaned out. And there was, like, bees and honeycombs all through their, like, house and everything. It was one of the wildest things I've ever seen.
Now, when the bees, when you were knocking on their door initially, did you look through the windows? And if you did you see any bees in the house?
Like, the windows were all closed up, like with curtains and stuff.
Ah, right.
So you couldn't see that. Yeah.
Where were you living at the time?
This was the East Hill of Kent.
I wonder, like, what attracts, like, what's the difference between, obviously, your house probably had a chimney. So what's the difference between one or the other? Why are they picking? Because, like,
they're on vacation, dude.
Bees are attracted to different things. And it's just weird stuff. Like,
right.
We brought up bananas before. I do not know what the weird correlation is, but I know
something in the pheromones or the smell or something.
I know for a fact that I've been to a golf course in Palm Springs where they have a sign up at the front desk that says, please do not, because there's active bees on the golf course.
Yeah.
Please do not bring bananas or eat bananas before you play this golf course unless you want to get lit up. That's basically how it surmises it.
That's a tough ask, though.
Well, yeah, because people just grab a banana.
Right, bananas are so easy as far as fruit. Well, I guess most fruit's portable, apples. But I'm just saying, like, I don't know. To me, like, you start in the morning, you have it, like, if I eat a banana, I eat it in the morning.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those. And matter of fact, in a different golf course, I saw two guys absolutely getting lit up by the bees. I was not. And, they're like, man, why aren't you getting bit by bees, man? I was like, because I'm white. No, but they had a banana in their cart. And I said, man, I know exactly what this is. You either have touched that thing or you guys have eaten a banana in the morning. And they're like, one guy's like, yeah, I ate one. And, I brought another one. But they were attacking both of them. And I mean, it was, we had to leave the hole because they would not stop attacking these guys. I mean, it was insane. So whatever the smell is that it sets off, it was insane. I mean,
I would think, like, you tell kids, like, hey, man, don't get in the pool until, 30 minutes after you eat. Like, here's some useful information. If you ate a banana, summertime with kids, don't go outside for a hot minute.
No,
like, how long do you think you need to wait before you're bee safe? I have a banana in the morning. I want to go outside and play with my friends. Like, how long should I wait? Because you're right, it makes them absolutely insane.
It puts them in attack mode, which is the most bizarre thing. Banana's a weird, it's a weird fruit. It's got too many superstitions for me. But
It might be my favorite.
For me, it definitely is. Like, if I'm going to just eat a fruit, it's going to be a banana.
I mean, apples right there, watermelon, but I just feel like bananas are so easy just on the go. But last time I got stung by a bee, I probably had a banana that morning.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Last time I got stung by a bee, we didn't realize we had bees had made a nest inside of the tubing on the basketball hoop that we have in the driveway. All right? No idea. So, son and I, we're shooting hoops, whatever, but, I suck. So when I hit it, it's not like I'm dropping a switch. Things bouncing off the rim or hitting the backboard. And we didn't realize that they were in there at first. It was like, God damn, there's a lot of bees around here. Then I hit one shot that really smacked into the backboard, and all of a sudden we just saw these things explode out of the back. I'm like, uh-oh. So my son's looking at me. He goes, what do we do? I'm like, run. So we both run into the house. He got stung twice. He was really pissed off about that. I got stung like 3 times. Not the end of the world. But then I realized, all right, man, well, this is the beginning of the summer. It's like 2 years ago. We want to use the hoop, but the bees are in there. So I had to wait until nighttime. They kind of settled down. I had painter's tape and some spray. So you go up to a little empty tube on the back, hit it with some spray, and I mean, man, as soon as I pressed down on that spray can, I see the bees starting to come out, put the tape over top, plugged up all the holes. It worked, but we waited like 2 days. So basically just fogged them out, killed them, whatever, but you can see them pressing on the tape on the other side. And I'm just like, that's the one time that I wish I rented, right? So we're not at apartments and there's a bee problem, call the landlord. And the landlord deals with it for you. Once you buy a house, if you have something like that, or they put a nest in your frickin' chimney, it's like, yeah, it's a you problem, man.
Dude, the worst one I've ever dealt with. I've dealt with a couple crappy things in my house before. The one that was just the most annoying was my first house when it got flooded during a hurricane. I went down, and when I finally got the sump pump to work after the power came back on, I started sweeping everything into the sump pump. Finally got the basement dried out, but to do that, I had to open up 2 or 3 basement windows. Now, there's like a window well outside, and the window's down in the ground, essentially. So, but that was to enable you to get out in case of fire, whatever the deal was. At that time, though, I had to open up all the windows to help dry the basement out. So not only am I going to bed with the windows in my house wide open, I mean, you could easily get down one of those wells and break into my basement and come right upstairs. I was kind of paranoid about that. It dried out the basement. What it also did was brought in about 50 to 100 crickets. That had been dealing with the wet water outside and came. Now, these are little black crickets, right? A little bit, about half the size of a grasshopper. This is all night long.
Until you turn on the light.
All night. And that's what I used to go down and turn on the light. And then as soon as I left, it didn't matter the light was on. They're still doing that. And you can't catch them.
I was going to say, even if you killed a bunch of them, you couldn't find the one that's doing it.
They're all doing it.
Yeah.
That was the problem. They were all doing it. And I mean, it would drive me nuts. I was just like, God almighty, I hate these little things. I try to stomp them. I try to broom them, hit them with a broom like before they moved. Sucked.
Yeah, we lived out in the woods. I don't know why. They always went into my brother's bedroom. Always his, right? Never mine, never anywhere else in the house. It'd always be his bedroom. And same thing. As soon as it turns on the light, but it would drive my father crazy. We were young enough, we weren't going to deal with it. So you hear my dad 3 o'clock in the morning, like screaming at these crickets. Like, God, it's basically show yourself. And say,
show yourself.
That's not how it works. So my brother just have to sleep through it. My father's like, look, there's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do. I can't find them.
We would get a couple. It seemed like every summer there's at least like a week where there's a cricket in the basement, and say, right, you can't find them, you can't get rid of it. It's just every night.
And it's like, I don't care that you're here, but can you shut up?
Yeah. What was the unwanted nuisance that you had to deal with? 206-803-ROB.
Now, ironically, if you're out in the woods or by like a lake at night, I enjoy the cricket sound.
It's a good sound when it's outside, but you don't realize how loud they are until they're actually in your home. Actually, I want to say the worst infestation we had, and I've told this before, is my brother with his fruit fly farm. And the whole thing was, it was a high school project, whatever. He was going to be the first guy to keep the farm. Basically, it's just like an ant farm, except it's fruit flies, right? And all my father said, because he did not announce this to the family, my father discovered this. And my brother explained, it has this super seal, blah, 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 explaining all the safety precautions. My father goes, great, look, man, if I see one goddamn fruit fly, we're going to have a problem, because where there's one, there are 20 million. No big deal, whatever. I don't give it another thought, So the next day, we're sitting down for dinner, and we're talking to each other. My father's looking down at his food with his fork and knife, and me, my brother, and my mother spot a single fruit fly, that lazy, stupid fly they kind of do. And my mom's just like her eyes light up, because my father was serious about this, man. Like, if he told you not to do something or to do something, then that is how it must be. So my brother's trying to, steer the conversation so that my father won't notice this. And maybe 3 minutes he didn't, right? But then this thing drifts in his line of sight. And you could just feel the tension in the room escalate. He doesn't say anything. He just puts down his fork and knife, looks at the fruit fly, looks at my brother. Not a word. Grabs my brother. They go down to his bedroom. They open his bedroom door, and I hear my father lose his ass, which he normally doesn't do. I mean, every expletive in the book, my brother never got in trouble, right? He's always been a good guy, whatever. And he's laying my brother out, his cousin stomps up the stairs. He's like, are you effing kidding me? We're like, what's up, man? So he explains the fruit fly farm with all of its security precautions had fallen off of my brother's desk and broken on the floor. So all of the fruit flies that were in there are now in my brother's room, sans one that floated up to the kitchen to alert us to the fact that his buddies are hanging out my brother's room. What made it worse was my brother knew that this had happened, but was terrified to tell my father, which I understand.
So his whole room is covered in
his entire. Dude, you opened the door for 1 second. I mean, it's almost like putting on sunglasses. It wasn't like pitch black in there, but it was darker in there because the room is full of fruit flies. I've never seen my father freak out like that.
What was the solution to that? You go buy a bomb?
They bought a bomb, but then we had to get it because back then, man, this is like late 70s, early 80s, maybe. Probably early 80s because he's in high school. Those bombs like anything, they'll tell you, hey, man, if your house was built in 1950s, check for lead paint. All right, so those bombs were like serious stuff. Like, you need to leave your home. It does not matter where you put them in. So, yeah, he had to bomb out the room, but that cost money. My father was so goddamn pissed off. And then the worst part was for my brother, who had great grades all through school. He failed that science project because none of the fruit flies made it.
What was the unwanted nuisance that you had to deal with? 206-803-ROCK.
On a side note, it was one of the highlights of my life. Right, I was always in trouble because I was always a bad kid. He was a good kid, rarely in trouble. He did some bad things but didn't get caught, right? But that's the one time he got busted, and I'm like, bro, I'm so glad I'm not you.
It's always good to see when you're a kid, see your sibling in trouble.
Oh, yeah, and he really effed up, man. He effed up bad. I loved it. Hello, Mike. Welcome to the men's room.
How you doing?
Hola.
Hola. Okay, my story is Yellow Jackets.
Ah, yes.
We were on a vacation, and we came back, summertime, and I saw some Yellow Jackets in the windows. So I smack them with the .44. I kill them all. Next morning I get up, I see 5 or 6 more. Kill them all. They just kept coming and coming and coming, and we had to figure out where they were coming from. So we removed the dresser that was up against the wall, and this nest, they used cardboard for their nest. It was pushing out the vent.
Jesus.
In the wall.
And this was inside your house?
Inside.
That's I've never heard of anybody having a nest inside the walls, maybe?
Yeah, I heard inside the walls.
Inside the attic, but never inside the house.
It was in between the walls, but they built such a big nest.
That they popped out?
They popped out into the register vent, pushing the register vent up. So my wife went in there with the vacuum. She thought she was going to be the hero, because I'm allergic to bee stings. And she's in there vacuuming. Oh, my God, she stirred them up. They were flying all over the place. Shut the door, shut the vacuum off. Ran like hell. So I put a exterminator in. He come in and put this chemical on the nest and pump some of this chemical in it. It's powder. It's not lethal to humans, dogs, or anything like that. But they just kept flowing out, dying. And when he thought they were all dead, he started pulling this nest out. And there were over 10,000 bees in that nest.
Was that your house that you owned, or did you rent that place?
Yeah. No, we owned it my wife owned it for years. And that's the first time we ever saw any kind of a bee inside the house.
No, it's because they were on the walls.
Yeah, no kidding.
Plotting. What was the unwanted nuisance that you had to deal with? 206-803-ROCK.
Imagine you're looking at a balancing scale with everything you do for other people on one side and everything you do for yourself on the other side. If it isn't balanced, maybe it's time to spend a little more time on you. And therapy is a great place to start. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist online who can help you find that balance and stick to it. Visit BetterHelp.com/positive to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp.com/positive.
Dealing with an accident and injury claim can be overwhelming. Let Phillips Law Firm fight for you. We understand the pain and suffering, and we're here to guide you through. Call 1-800-JUSTICE today for a free case review, or visit justiceforyou.com and let Phillips Law Firm help you on the road to recovery.
Hey there, everybody. I'm Melvin Robert from the TV show Extra. Every day on our show, we talk to the biggest celebrities and the biggest newsmakers around. We get exclusive details about hookups and breakups, baby news, and the behind-the-scenes info from your favorite TV shows and movies. But we can only fit so much on our show. That's where Extra the Podcast comes in. Listen and follow Extra the Podcast and Odyssey Podcast on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcast.
Hey, it's Mike Hawk. Want more Men's Room content? Follow the Men's Room page of the Odyssey app and check out my live stream, A Moment with Mike Hawk and Nothing in Particular with Steve the Thrill Hill. Going live Thursdays and Fridays at 1 exclusively on the Men's Room page of the Odyssey app.
99.9 KISW. We return to the Men's Room with Miles and Thrill.
Our question, what was the unwanted nuisance that you had to deal with? 206-803-ROCK.
Hello, Carrie. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola, bichuelas.
Hola.
Well, so my parents decided to go to Hawaii and take my niece, who was about 12. I was in my early 20s. And they left me at home to house sit and watch. They had 2 Rottweilers.
Wait a minute. Why
Really
do they
sweet
take
dogs.
why do they take the niece but leave you?
I still wonder that question. I think because somebody had to take care of our business in the house and...
Somebody had to watch the dogs.
Right.
You can find
Yeah.
something to watch. Wait a minute.
No, you're going to leave the
taking my
12-year-old
cousin?
You leave the 12-year-old niece there.
You can take my cousin, but you're taking my ass with you.
Well, they were kind of raising her for a couple years, so...
Okay.
Yeah. So anywho, they wanted to go out at night. There was a fenced yard, so I let them out. And when it came time to let them in, it wasn't really lit by that door. So I went to let them in, and I could see something white. And I thought, oh no, they grabbed a bunny or something. And so I went and got a flashlight. And as I lit them up from the outside, I saw their faces the white was porcupine quills.
Oh.
They had gotten into a porcupine, and literally, like, their entire faces, their cheeks, they were through their tongues. And I'm at home by myself, and I had just gotten a brand new Ford Mustang. And so I had to pile these 2 giant Rottweilers into my car and drive them to the emergency vet.
Were they screaming in pain, the dogs?
No, they really weren't. I could tell, obviously, they were in pain, but they were panting a lot. But Mustangs aren't very big, so I had these 2 Rottweilers behind me, panting with all of these things in their face, and I'm trying to lean forward as much as possible and drive. And so we get them to the vet, and they have to knock them out completely. And they just start pulling these quills out, and they're like a fish hook where there's a prong.
Yep.
So it's like one way in. It was gross, but they knocked them out. So then I had to put them back into my Mustang, completely unconscious, get them back to the house, had to get a blanket, put them on the blanket, and drag them back into the house.
Did you do them one at a time or both at the same time?
One at a time.
Oh, one at a time. The big boy was like, 130 maybe.
Jesus.
Rotties are big, but yeah, and they were completely out, so it was like dragging a body.
I'm sure your neighbors thought you'd murdered someone.
Right? Yeah.
Well,
So what about the porcupines? Did they stick around, or did you ever see them again?
I didn't see it. What was funnier, though, is by the time I got out of the vets, it was breakfast time, like real early, so I can't remember. I went through some drive-through, and the person at the drive-thru was looking at me because I had these 2 Rottweilers in this tiny car, but they were obviously completely unconscious, and they were looking at me like, what's going on here?
Tell them I went Rottweiler hunting. How many quills did they pull out of their face, do you know?
Oh, gosh. I mean, they both probably had dozens, like at least 2 dozen. I mean, their whole faces were like lit up white because there were so many quills, and the bad ones were the ones in their tongues and the roof of their mouths.
They say even adults that get attacked by, or children that get attacked, go to the vet.
Oh, because they know how to get their quills out.
No, because they do it all the time. So like that's where you go. Like, you don't go to the emergency room, you go to the vet.
There's very few times you take a human to the veterinarian. Like, porcupine quills?
Look me up.
Does anything actively hunt or eat porcupines?
I don't believe
I mean,
so.
is there anything
There's
that knows
gotta
to
be
flip them
something.
over and go for the belly? You know what I'm saying? Like, right? There's got to be something out there that's not an idiot that's willing to go after a porcupine and figure it out.
I mean, who eats skunks, right? Same difference.
Let's see.
Gotta be something.
The biggest predators for porcupines are the whole gamut of large wild cats, especially lions, who are clever enough to carefully flip the porcupines over and attack them in this
All
way.
right. So not in North America.
Yeah,
I wonder if the lion, though, like in Africa, right? Like, we'll go down, people dive in the ocean and get a sea urchin.
Right.
And you got to crack it open to get that little bugger out.
Yeah.
I wonder if the lion is like, you want to go for a delicacy today and get one of those porcupines and flip them over?
I think if I'm a lion, right, I'm the apex predator. Like, if I'm eating a porcupine, I'm real hungry. I understand I have to flip them over, but it's still more of a challenge than I would like, because the porcupine's still going to put up a fight.
So I'm saying, maybe to the lion, it's a delicacy.
It's got to be. It's got to be. It's too much trouble to eat.
What was the unwanted nuisance you had to deal with? 206-803-ROCK.
Hello, Andy. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola, bichola.
Hola.
So, I'm a plumber on Bainbridge Island, and I'm running down the road on 305, and it's middle of summer, I got the window down, and I see out of the corner of my eyes, not thinking anything much of it, but a bee hit the back of my seat. So I leaned back in my seat, and I got stung in the lower back. And by that time, my shirt was up a little ways, so I grabbed the old crap handle and lifted myself up a little bit, and the bee made it down to my pants, stung me in the butt a couple times, and by the time we actually pulled over in front of the fire station, it had stung me once in the thigh. So I jump out, fire drill out of my van. My colleague, gets out with me. I got my pants down at my ankles, and we're looking for the bee in my pants. And never found the bee, but it was very entertaining for, the probably 50 or so cars that drove by watching my buddy pick through my boxers, So.
Yeah.
So, but a bee loses its stinger when it stings.
Depends.
Right?
Not all of them. Not all of them. That's why he was able to multiple.
Can keep stinging you.
I think yellow jackets keep stinging you.
Yellow jackets too.
That's what I got a couple weeks ago, right on the stomach, man. I was just like,
yellow jacket.
It hurt for days.
I was gonna say, so there was some yellow jackets on the deck, like underneath the deck when we were in Montana, and my buddy, this yellow jacket got him like twice in the toe.
All right.
So like later that night, I was like, "You all right? You've been kind of," and he's like, it is throbbing."
Yeah.
And like the next day, I mean, you're talking 24 hours later, he's like, "It's still painful."
Well, it's weird, like because I'm the opposite. I got stung by a hive of yellow jackets, and when they were done stinging me, like it hurt because your skin had been broken with needles, basically. But whatever venom they put on you, my body had no reaction. So as soon as we got the stingers out, I was fine. And then I got stung by a single bee in school. It stung me like on the back of my shoulder, basically. I mean, for 3 days, I could barely move my left arm. Mm-hmm. It's such a weird freaking thing.
What was the unwanted nuisance you had to deal with? 206-803-ROCK. It's always better when you can pull out the stinger. It's not going to be as painful as the ones that continue to sting you. They die.
They're the ones that keep like throbbing.
Yeah, they die.
Right. Even like the honeybee, right? That his stinger, he's going to die or whatever. But last time, right, it was just right in my hand. And like it was just weird. I like watched him land on it and do it. I like brushed him off, and I got the stinger out that it only hurt for like 15 minutes.
Yeah, if you can get it out before the venom. Like, people always freak out when they see bees. And then there's my wife, right? It's like 2 years ago, I guess, we're sitting outside eating dinner. One of the things she had made was corn on the cob. Love me some corn on the cob. So
who doesn't?
We're out there with the kids, and she's eating something else. Her corn on the cob sitting on the plate. She's putting something else in her mouth. And I mean, it was like ninja quickness and a foul mouth. This bee lands on her buttered piece of corn, and I'm telling you, man, in half a second, her hands down, she grabs this thing by the wings, get the F off my corn, and throws it at me. And the kids are looking at her like, Jesus Christ, man, you all right? She's like, don't touch my goddamn food. Like, noted.
What was the unwanted nuisance you had to deal with? 206-803-ROCK.
Remember how she sounded in the car when we brought up Target reorganizing themselves?
Oh, yeah.
It was like that. I mean, but just.
Hey, you know what? I was with her, though.
Oh, I know. It's effing BS.
Next time they rearrange one of the store or something, or part of the, I'm just gonna start texting her like, "Can you believe this ass?"
Go in there,
because I think I'm as angry as she is. Like, why did you?
I'm still mad at the Ballard Fredmeyer.
Hey, look,
it's been a year and a half. You think I'd figure it out by now?
No, that's what we discovered. If you have a store, right, a big store, Target, what did you say, Fred Meyer, QFC, Safeway, if you rearrange it, all of your customers want to kill you. Mm-hmm. Is what I discovered, man. Like universal anger. Hello, Andy. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola. So, Andy, what was the nuisance you didn't want to deal with?
Last year, this time, I was in El Paso, Texas, and I came home one day. I saw a couple flies, and I thought my roommate left the door open, and I killed a couple flies, went to sleep, went to work the next day, came back, there's like 40 of them. And they like hid underneath the blinds next to the window, like get sunbathing. And like I moved the blinds and they just attacked me.
The flies attacked you?
It was flies, yeah. I guess it's a thing in El Paso, like around summertime, the flies come out and hunt in August.
Like a horse fly?
Yeah, did they bite you?
No, they didn't bite. They were just a nuisance. They weren't like biting.
Okay.
What are some of the other things you... Go ahead. So what else do you do?
I was in the living room with a dish towel slapping them.
What else do you deal with in Texas, right? Because places that are hot and or humid, or definitely the places that are both, like, the number of bugs you have to deal with is incredible compared to what we deal with here. And certainly the style of bugs, they seem a lot bigger the farther south you go.
These things were like thumb size. These flies were ridiculous.
They might have been horse flies. I mean, I don't know. I just know you don't want to deal with those. They're awful. They will take a chunk out of your body.
I saw one bite my father's forehead years ago. We're sitting out on the deck eating dinner. We knew he had horse flies to try to swat him away. And he had the bald spot, which made it very funny to me and my brother. But this thing landed on his bald spot. Before he could get his hand up there to brush it away, he kind of ran forward, I guess, got right into his forehead, just bit his ass, right, and then took off. He was so pissed. Like, it ruined dinner. Like, he's so mad, and we wanted to laugh. Well, right, I mean, because he couldn't stop bitching about it through the rest of dinner. My mom's giving us the look of laugh at your own peril. Mm-hmm. If you laugh at him right now, he will stab you with a fork.
I mean, I remember being at a pool at a hotel, and granted, it's Chincoteague Island, where it's famous for their horses.
Just getting ready to bring that up, man.
But, right, I remember being in that pool, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. Then it was a horsefly, but I mean, like, it was so bad, like, we got out of the pool, because they were just, like, zipping around. I mean, look, you can hear my hair is almost standing up just remembered.
But that island, I was going to bring up that specific island, man, like, I've been there. You watch the horses. It's wild horses, right, if you don't know. So you kind of watch them. They're doing their thing. And then there's a moment where horseflies seem to show up just in droves. And everyone just beelines back to their car to get the hell out of it.
Long Beach Island, New Jersey. Only time I've been stung. I could not believe the pain. And it wasn't even it's a bite. It's a bite.
Yeah, they
I don't
bite
even think
you.
they take a chunk out of your damn. Ted, your worst nightmare. I've told the story before, but my buddy had a farm. Our job was to bale hay. Summer's coming to an end, but there's been he's got like a barn to put hay in, or like a covering, and then there's enough hay where they stack the hay beside and they put a tarp over the thing.
All right,
but for the entire summer, all that hay's been gone, and the tarp is just laying on the grass. Now the grass around that tarp was probably 3 to 4 feet high. Like, it was high. It was weeds. Eventually, it's going to become hay. So the first thing we needed to do was, before we went and started cutting it all down, was move that tarp. And I'm telling you, man, I had one corner, Craig had another, his dad had another. We're going to run it back like a tarp on a baseball field. Yeah. Take 2 corners, put them together, just fold it up, because eventually we're going to use it to cover up the hay once we get it all baled and stacked. Pulled the tarp back, man, and it was a scene out of Raiders of the Lost Ark. There had to be no less than 200 to 300 snakes. This is a big ass. This is like 30 by 30. This tarp is huge. The entire underbelly of it, the ground started moving. You looked underneath your feet. There's rat snakes, there's black snakes, there's copperheads, there's rattlesnakes. I mean, they're all intertwined, running the hell out of there. And I mean, you want to talk about when we dropped and ran, they were all running the same direction, no matter which way we went with them. They were everywhere.
I mean, nobody got bit?
No. I mean, no. It was just, you could not believe the number of snakes that just were cohabitating together, keeping warm under that big black tarp. I mean, it freaked me out. I didn't even want to go and start working, because I knew how many snakes were just in that area.
Right.
I mean, as far as just, because I was right near the barn. I mean, to walk into the barn or walking that onto the side or to anything, man. It was just, I didn't even want to. We had a big mower, like a big. There's like a unit that it's got a back into it, and it's as big. His dad rented it, but you run over and it basically spits a bale out the back.
Yeah,
it's like a baler, but it's not a big one. It's just kind of more of a smaller size one.
You roll over snakes with it.
You had to have. I mean, he had to have. We weren't able. We were not allowed to operate that machinery. Our job was to grab the bale in the back and kind of start stacking them up and moving them around. But it blew my mind. I could not believe that many snakes could be in one place at one time
and cohabitate.
It was like a zoo. It was honestly like a zoo. You heard the rattles everywhere.
Jesus, man.
The cottonmouths, they're big, they're fat, and they're short, and they have this huge ass head, like Ron Jeremy. I mean, they're just stubby and thick, but their heads are just huge, man. And those are the ones that really could mess you up. Cottonmouths. I'd rather be bit by a rattlesnake.
You would. You absolutely would.
What was the unwanted nuisance you had to deal with? 206-803-ROB.
Hello, Danielle. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola.
So my nuisance is my brother. My mother left him at the house when she moved out, and when I took over the house, and I couldn't get him off the property at all.
But what was the situation with your brother?
My brother is like 8 years older than me, so he's mid-50s, and he hasn't worked in like 30-some-odd years, and my mom's taking care of him basically all the rest of his life. And he's like the type of person that, in her eyes, never does anything wrong. So he gets away with everything.
Well, when she moved out and you moved in or whatever the deal was, did she tell him he could stay or did he have to get out too?
She did. Basically, she left him like furniture.
And
what? So, is there anything wrong with him, or is he just lazy and play the blame game?
No, just lazy.
So, how does he survive in life?
Off of my mother.
So she gives him money and she enables him to do whatever, nothing, I guess.
Yeah.
What does he do when he's at home all day?
Sit up in his room doing whatever he does. I don't know.
All right.
How long did you
I
have
never
to...
did get rid of him, and my mom ended up moving back into the property, and he's still there. And he showed up at her house, I think, like 25 years ago on Christmas Eve and has never left since. That's the biggest nuisance I can think of.
That's not bad. I mean, that's
a solid answer.
That would drive me nuts.
How often do you have to interact with him?
Every day, because I live on the same property. That we have two houses. We have an apartment and a house, and I live in the house. So he's living in the apartment with my mom still. And I slept with it every day.
Now, I mean, is he a decent guy when you see him? You know what I mean, is he talkative?
He has his times, his moments. There was one time he broke my back.
How did he break your back?
He got mad over meatloaf, my mom's meatloaf.
He got mad over meatloaf
and broke your back.
Well, what happened was his girlfriend was going in for seconds, and my mother and I were still there waiting to dish up, and it was a family dinner, and there was a little bit left, and I took the fork from her and told her to wait and let us dish up first because Mom and I haven't eaten yet. And she went upstairs and told him that I called her a fat bee, which I didn't. And
she
came upstairs and pushed me across the kitchen with my plate in my hand. Food went flying over everybody. And I have an attitude, too, when stuff like that happens. So I got up, got in his face, and he picked me up and slammed me down on the ground and put his knee in my middle of my chest and broke my back. Yeah.
Is that when you moved out?
Well, no, because I needed someone to take care of me for the next 11 months.
Jesus Christ, man.
And
yeah.
Because his girlfriend went in for a second piece of lasagna before you guys before you guys had even gotten
My mom makes the best meatloaf, man, I'm telling you.
I mean, it sounds like it.
She must.
Okay, all right.
Well, goddamn, man.
That's a great family dynamic there.
I
can't believe the guy's got a girlfriend, to be honest with you. If all he does is just sit around the house all day.
And do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You'd be shocked.
What's that?
I mean, I'm with you. I used to always say that, you'd be shocked the amount of people that are just losers, but they still have boyfriends and girlfriends.
Yeah, for no particular reason.
That's right. I'm just like, how does that make sense? You seem like a normal person outside of dating him.
Right.
I'm going to see one in a few months here. What was the unwanted nuisance that you had to deal with? 206-803-ROCK.
Walk the dogs, school drop-off, meetings from 10 to 3, take kids to soccer, then no time left for a jog.
When everyone else is relying on you, it's easy to put your needs last. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist online, so you can show up for yourself the way you do for others. Visit BetterHelp.com/positive to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp.com/positive.
99.9 KISW. The Men's Room returns with Miles and Thrill.
Men's Room World Tour. Stop number 5 going down Saturday, September 9th, 3 until 6. We'll see you at the 884 Pub in Bremerton. Men's Room Original Ale. Men's Room Original Sausage. We've got live music. Big Dummy, Ted versus the FCC. Men's Room Roasted Red Salsa. They drinking beer and having a little good time. College football is on. It'll be a good time at the 884 Pub. So we're heading west to Bremerton for the very first time. Hopefully you can stop by. The event's absolutely free, by the way, if you're 21 years of age or older. All the details on the Men's Room World Tour stop number 5 is at KISW.com.
Are you me?
Nope. Our question, what was the unwanted nuisance that you had to deal with? 206-803-ROCK.
Bremerton, we're in you.
Holy Jay!
Hello, Zachary. Welcome to the Men's Room.
Hola.
Hola.
Yeah, another bee story or yellow jacket story for you guys.
All right.
Should we just redo the question to when did a bee annoy you?
Right.
What was bugging you?
Right. What was bee about it?
So when I was probably around 10 or 12, 10, 11, 12, somewhere around there, my brother and I, mom and dad, we went out for a hike. And my dad is a fisherman, so he's gone during most of the summer. So this is probably right at the end of the summer. It's kind of fall time. We'd made it around about a half hour, 45 minutes out. This nice, beautiful hike, good views, everything. And then we kind of saw this trail. We thought it might loop back. So we're going down this trail, a little overgrown, so we weren't sure if it was the way back or if we had to double back to get out. And my mom and I were kind of hanging up at the top of this hill. My brother, he's kind of following my dad a little more farther down. And my dad is the farthest one down the hill. And my dad said he turned around because he heard something. And he turned around and he saw my brother, who was sitting on the ground, and an angry black cloud kind of came up out of the ground, I guess. And my dad sees this, and my brother doesn't really notice what's going on around him yet. So my dad runs up, and so this all kind of happened at the same time. My dad gets to my brother. They start getting stung. We start hearing the yelling because my brother, he's a couple of years younger, so he's 8 or 9, something like that. So he's getting stung and he's in pain. We start hearing the yelling, and at that same time, we also start getting bit or stung a couple times. So my dad bear hugs my brother, and that's when the bees just start attacking my dad. And, well, all of us, but mostly my dad. So turns out it was a dead end to the trail, so we had to hoof it back the whole way back on the trail. My dad, my mom and I, we got stung a handful of times, maybe like 30 or 40.
Oh, just a handful.
That's not a handful.
That's all.
That's not a handful.
You got some big-ass hands, brother.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, yeah, maybe now, but yeah, not that. My brother, he's got something around, I think, 80 stings, 70, 80 stings. So he got hit pretty hard. But my dad, he had to stay overnight in the ER because they counted around 150 just to 200 stings on him.
Jesus. Did he go into shock or anything like that, or did he seem normal to you?
We were all kind of, in shock at that point from the pain and then the running. My dad, he had bees like in his coat, like in the ER room, they were taking his shirt off and like bees were still coming out.
Wow. God almighty. Yeah, you thought being a fisherman was dangerous, right?
Yeah, no kidding. That's a story for another time.
Yeah. So what was it, a ground nest that your brother sat on?
Ran over him with a lawnmower before. I've done that. A weed eater, you name it. They burrow down, man. There's a lot of them. You'll see like a handful of them come up, and then it's time to get out of there as fast as you can. As a matter of fact, to the point where I left a lawnmower running.
I did the same thing.
And just left.
And I went over to the tree. And the thing is, I knew that they were in the tree stump because the week before, my father called me outside. He goes, "You're not going to believe this. The tree stump had belonged to the ants, all right? The Yellow Jackets decided that they wanted the tree stump, and it was a weird cooperative evacuation. So all of these ants are pouring out of the tree stump, and they're carrying these little egg sacs and stuff on top of them. And the Yellow Jackets are just kind of circling around, and occasionally they dip down in there. But I guess it was clear the ants were like, we're not going to fight Yellow Jackets. The Yellow Jackets kind of let them leave, and then they went to the tree stump, made it their hive. Totally forgot. So that next week when I'm mowing the lawn, man, rolled over top of it. Didn't give it a thought. Though, the back of my leg kind of hurt, and I turn around, and it's just a swarm of them. So, I took the hell off, ran in the house, left the lawnmower running, ran for about another 4 to 5 hours, just till I ran out of gas.
I told you, when I was a landscaper, I was, it's the end of the job. So you got your leaf blower, and you're just blowing the grass off.
Yeah.
And just a little walkway, but it was like not wooden plank, you know what I mean? Like big wood blocks that somebody had embedded in this ground years ago. But same thing. I didn't know they were in there. Just blew over it, and then, like 3 of them got me, like right away. Yeah. And I spiked the blower and ran out of that yard.
Damn right, man. Running, that's the key.
What was the other one of nuisance you had to deal with? 206-803-ROCK.
Also, kind of gangster, those. Did you say they were yellow jackets?
They're yellow jackets, yeah.
But yeah, we're going to need that house.
Yeah, I mean, that's what was amazing.
Get your ass and get out.
It was like a 6-hour process, but you saw the ant, and like I said, they weren't attacking the ants. And all these ants were leaving little egg sacs, and they went wherever the ants decided to go. And basically, when they were done or got their queen out, or however this works, the yellow jackets took that bad boy over, man. I'm just like, damn.
Yep.
But yeah, they weren't slaughtering them or anything like that. And then I forgot they were there, and they kicked my ass.
I'm just imagining that in real life. Like two dudes just with guns. Like, it's our house now.
That's basically what it is.
And then they just stand there and watch you take all your stuff out.
Hey, you can take our stuff. We're taking the house. We don't want your belongings. Yeah. But you need to get the hell out of here.
I stayed in a yurt one time, all right? I don't know if you guys have ever stayed in a yurt.
I have.
It's just a concrete slab with a big tent on top. Right. There's plenty of room to go underneath the tent. It's not sealed like you think it is. It's tied down pretty well. They're actually very nice. This one had a bathroom in it.
Damn.
With a shower.
Oh
yeah, it was
luxury.
It was
luxury yurts.
It was a pimped out yurt. Matter of fact, I think it had a window air conditioner where there was no window.
Are you kidding?
No, it really did. I'm not kidding you.
That is a pimp yurt.
There are like 4 or 5 of these things.
What was it, like Cave B or something?
Yeah. You rent one.
That's a nice place.
It was great. Well, initially I thought I was going to stay at Cave B because I was like, man, you're not going to believe this. It was Zach Brown Band. It's like we got a room for Cave B.
Awesome.
Right. I didn't realize it was a yurt.
All right.
I thought I was like in the lodge, but the lodge only has like 5 rooms, 6 rooms.
Yeah.
There's no way you're getting in there. But for some reason, I thought, based on the price, this has got to be a room, right? So we get the yurt, and I woke up in the middle of the night because I had to use the bathroom, and I turned on the light real quick near the bathroom, and I look, and all over the inside walls are the biggest spiders you have ever seen in your life. They are, and they're just there. They're silhouetted into the tent, and I'm looking at them.
And they're inside, you said?
They're inside. My wife is asleep, all right? She hates spiders. Like, this is her number one thing, spiders. That is one thing that because she even asked me when we, first of all, do you think there'll be rattlesnakes? I know there's rattlesnakes here because I walked over a dead one coming back from the main lodge. So yes, they have actively gone up and started blowing away the rattlesnakes that they see with a shotgun. Yeah, there's a half one out there, but I was like, they're here, but typically I don't think they want to come in here because the concrete floor is cold. Mm-hmm. So they're probably burrowed or they're probably, somewhere else. Okay, are there bugs and snakes? Well, yes, I'm sure there's going to be bugs for sure. So, don't worry about it though. Are there spiders here? You know what? I don't know if I've seen too many spiders. That was my last comment.
Right.
And honestly, being in Eastern Washington, I really have not run into a lot of spiders. Just that's one thing I have run into. I turned on the lights 3 o'clock in the morning. The one spider, I swear to God, was the size of my palm. He was huge, and of course you wake up and none of them are there, and we're spending the night again.
Right.
We got 2 nights out there, but either way, it's just I never said anything.
No, you can't.
Just kept my mouth shut, and I kept thinking to myself because as soon as she sees one, I'm going to eat $300 in this thing for the night, or whatever the hell it was. It was, it was a lot. So I was like, no, I'm not saying a damn word.
So you spent 2 nights there?
They were all over the inside of the bathroom. Yeah, they're all inside the canopy of the
But on night 2,
whatever you call it.
Do you start thinking about that?
No.
Just to yourself, like, when I turn off these lights, basically all of these spiders are surrounding us.
No. Well, we had one of those deals where, like, the show was on a Saturday night, but we went on a Friday night. And then Saturday we were doing like
the wine thing.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. It was a day of dumb combination, by the way. Drinking wine all day and then going to a concert at night.
Right.
You don't want to do both of those in the same day, especially if you don't drink wine all the time, man. Especially in the heat.
Throw and I did it for Tool,
and we were in great shape.
Drinking the wine, I think, revived us.
Well, that's the thing. We were super hungover. We didn't know they were doing a wine thing. We were coming back with, was it like Sarah and Castle, I think.
Right, it was the 4 of us. We had a work event on Friday.
Right.
And the 4 of us rallied out there Saturday for some other smaller band before Tool. We didn't anticipate how many people were going to be in that campground as Tool was on a Sunday. So we partied all night Saturday, and then Sunday afternoon was like, all right, let's go over there. And we just started drinking. But you're right, it was odd. We're just drinking wine out in the sun.
Well, they were doing the wine tasting as we're walking up, so we're like... But we, because why not? We looked like, we looked bad, man. We're dressed like rock guys. These people, they're there for wine tasting at Cave B. So, they look like.
Wow, it was so bad. There's one couple, and the dude goes, Thrill? Ted? What in the hell are you two doing here?
No,
you might even add it. You guys look like crap.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks.
We did. There's no doubt.
What was the unwanted nuisance that you had to deal with? 206-803-ROCK.
I will say, I did a wedding there, and me and my buddy split one of those cliff houses.
Yeah.
No snakes, no spiders. Just that annoying cat all night outside our door.
Are you serious? Did you ever like chase it away?
Why, did the cat want in?
Yeah, but like I don't know if like there was a bunch of kittens running around, so a cat must have had a litter. But I'm telling you, man, it was like the first night it was at somebody else's door, and that second night it was at our door. And you could open, and he'd run away, and he'd come back. I mean, I heard it in my dreams for like 2 weeks.
What was the unwanted nuisance that you had to deal with? 206-803-ROCK.
Hello, Tina. Welcome to the men's room.
Hello, gentlemen.
Hola.
So there were these two boys when I was a kid, and I was living in San Diego, and they were teasing me relentlessly. I was about 7 or 8 years old. They were about 9 or 10. And this went on for like several days. They kept bugging me, wouldn't leave me alone. So finally, I'm in my own yard, and they're standing on the sidewalk. I picked up a brick, and I was tossing it up and down in my hand. You know, and they're like, you wouldn't dare, you're too chicken. I was like, oh, yeah, watch me. I chucked the brick, busted one of them right smack dab in the center of his forehead.
Jesus, man.
They went running home crying. My mom yells at me to get my butt in the house right now, told me she didn't want to ever catch me throwing rocks again. I wasn't in trouble because I was in my own yard. But I wanted to say it wasn't a rock, it was a brick, but I didn't want to push my luck.
Yeah. That's probably good that you didn't.
Okay.
Well, Mom, technically it was not a rock, it was a brick.
I guess that was the last time I messed with you.
Yeah, they never bothered me again after that.
Yeah, it turns out, and it's true to be true even in adulthood, if someone hits you with a brick, you tend to steer clear of them.
Yeah, like Fred Sanford.
Yeah, Red Fox.
Right.
You ever been hit in the back of the head with a brick while you eating?
What was the unwanted nuisance that you had to deal with? 206-803-ROCK.
Damn. Yeah.
That was part of his stand-up, dude.
That's how he opened his stand-up. Just walks out hanging. Let me ask you something. You ever been hit in the back of the head while you...
Holy
Hello, Cleet. Welcome to the men's room.
Hello.
Hola.
Hola. What I had a skunk take over the central heating system of my house.
Yeah.
He got in the vents, and I come home from work, and when I went to turn the heat on, he would follow me from room to room, and I could hear pitter-pattering on the heater ducts, and then when you get into that room, it just starts smelling. Well, I dealt with that for, about a week, and one night I was on the phone. It was like 11 o'clock. I just went out. I was doing some laundry. Sunday night, I went out to the laundry room to get my clothes out of the dryer, and the phone rang. I went and answered the phone. It was a buddy of mine. I hadn't seen him in a long time, or talked to him in a long time. We got talking. Next thing you know, it's like 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. I went to bed. The next morning, I got up.
Oh, hang on.
Once again, bedroom colors, here are the 7 words you can't say on the radio. Sucker, mother, and please keep those words in mind when calling. Now, back to the program.
All right, Cleet, so you realize that you forgot your clothes and you go back to get them, I guess.
Yeah. Anyways, but I get them, and I reach in the dryer and I pull out my clothes, and I'm staring straight at a skunk. I dropped my clothes. My 3 dogs and I were trying to get out the door. I made it. They didn't. They got sprayed. I didn't. Not much. And I had to call into work that day. Anyways, long and short of the story is, I did a little research, and the only way you can get rid of you have to trap the skunk in a live trap, which I didn't have any problem because I had a cellar down underneath my kitchen trap door, so I just got a live cage. I put it down in the bottom of the cellar and put a rope tied to the cage, and then a sheet, a hole through the sheet, and then when I came home from work, I noticed that the trap was sprung, so I just went ahead and let the sheet down, over the cage, and I was able to take it out, and you got to fill a garbage can full of water and kill them like that.
You drowned the skunk?
The aristocrats?
Yep.
Okay.
So what, you drowned the skunk? Then why do you need to put it in a live trap if you're just going to drown the goddamn thing? You know what I mean? Like, well, that would be a live trap. I think they might say that because, like, well, not to, like, kill it later.
That was a lot to unpack. What was the unwanted nuisance that you had to deal with? 206-803-ROCK.
I'm glad you outsmarted the skunk.
Yeah.
Good work.
That may have been about equal. Hello, Robert. Welcome to the men's room.
Hello.
Hola.
Well, my story is a friend of mine back in the 90s invited me down to Las Vegas. And we didn't have a lot of money, so we stayed at this motel. Well, it was a house / motel, whatever. And anyway, I never drank Everclear until I went down there because Everclear is cheaper than Jack Daniels.
Yes, it is.
Anyway, say again?
Yeah, yes, it is.
Yes,
it's a lot
it's
cheaper
very
than Jack Daniels.
very much stronger and cheaper, yes.
Yeah. And so anyway, I went out and got a bottle of Everclear, and I got really kind of drunk. And anyway, we had our room, his room, and the bathroom in between both of our rooms. And anyway, I got kind of hammered and, more than usual because I was used to Everclear. And I went in the bathroom, and I'm not used to Las Vegas. So it was like 115 degrees with no humidity or nothing. It was just hot. Anyway, they had a hole in the floor. And the next door neighbor, he slept with the light on all the time. And I was like, whoa, why does that guy sleep with his light on all the time? Anyway, I guess I passed out in the bathroom. And I've never seen a flying cockroach before. Anyway, I guess I passed out, and he came out, and I guess I was covered in these flying cockroaches. So he wakes up my buddy to wake me up, and I'm in the bathroom, and I'm just covered in these things. And I'm like, I felt like I was in Japan or something. I thought I had like a coat of armor on. Yeah, it was terrible. I've never seen a flying cockroach,
Doesn't sound like you really did.
A coat of armor on.
Oh, my God.
Those last two calls made my day.
One guy says, I don't think the Everclear ever wore off.
No, sticks with you.
He said drunker, more than normal.
Who Sucks Less? Coming up along with your emails from the men's room at KISW.com next.
Are you dealing with a personal injury? Don't go it alone. Turn to the experienced team at Phillips Law Firm. Their attorneys have helped thousands of clients get the compensation they deserve. Call Phillips Law Firm now. Call 1-800-JUSTICE or visit justiceforyou.com.
Walk the dogs, school drop-off, meetings from 10 to 3, take kids to soccer, then no time left for a jog.
When everyone else is relying on you, it's easy to put your needs last. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist online, so you can show up for yourself the way you do for others. Visit BetterHelp.com/positive to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp.com/positive.
What's up? It's your boy, The Ted Smith from the Men's Room. And did you know I have a podcast? Well, I do. The Podcast. New episodes uploaded every Wednesday on the Odyssey app.
The debauchery rolls on. You're listening to The Men's Room with Miles and Thrill. 99.9 KISW.
Who Sucks Less on the way, but first time for a few emails from the men's room at KISW.com.
You've got
mail. You've got mail. And a couple other questions today about what was the nuisance there, guys. Ola, my house has a vaulted living room ceiling supported by a central beam that sticks out the front of the house by about 6 feet beyond the eaves, or 6 inches, I guess. Yeah. There's no attic. Just about 8 inches of insulated space between the ceiling and the roof. Well, years ago, started hearing scuffling and scratching noises up there at all hours of the day. Thought it was birds. I kept banging on the ceiling to get them to go away with varied results. It was not birds, it was squirrels. So I had to catch them in the act to confirm it, but 3 squirrels chewed through the facing board above the beam and were living in that space. They would run across our roof, pull off the parkour silliness to get down there. They would get noisier when I banged and would hang off of the beam and chitter at me angrily. We found out that one of them was protected, so we had to have them dealt with by a specialist, driving them away, then building a plexiglass and wire cage to keep them out. They still come by, hang off that cage, and stare daggers at me. Maybe we could have worked something out.
We didn't forget you, mother.
If they paid the rent. From Terry.
There's protected squirrels.
I never heard of that.
How would you know?
Oh, where we live, sure.
I mean, come on.
Well, there's
man.
protected trees, Steve.
Oh, God damn it. Don't get me started on that crap
That's
again.
where those squirrels live.
Oh, they just live in that tree.
Exactly. Several years ago, the neighbors...
I just think, like, you know what you never see out here?
What?
That I grew up? Black squirrels.
You don't?
No.
I would understand, like, they're much more rare.
I also
but
grew up in D.C.
No.
But that's what's funny. But that shouldn't. Just because the demographic
Yo, what's up, homie?
is largely black doesn't mean the squirrels should be.
Why not?
But apparently, you know, safe zone,
hey,
bro.
where do Haitian squirrels live, right? Not here.
Fifth.
Several years ago, the neighbors lost their house to foreclosure. The flipper that bought it went in to start the demo. The house was so gross, there were at least a dozen cat litter boxes inside. Fleas, mice, roaches, ants, you name it. Once the carpet was torn out and the house was cleaned up, they all made their way to my house. It was about 2 weeks of battling the pests before they moved on. Most recently, though, the person behind me has let their blackberries get out of control. This has given a colony of rats to take over and infest my yard and chicken coop.
Jesus.
I've recently taken up the sport of rat hunting at night. That from Rose in Tacoma at One Woman Spa.
The night rat hunter.
And one more from the nuisance. Fellas, I'll keep this short. Last Thanksgiving, we had a few people over for dinner. Wife comes out saying that the toilet is clogged. Tried a plunger, toilet auger, snag, nothing. Everyone took food to friends' homes. I stayed home to fix everything and get the backup taken care of. Ended up being the septic tank was clogged. Called people to fix it, dug it up, and unclogged it. Looked like an elephant with bad diarrhea cutting loose. Got a riser and a lid on the tank now, and I can unclog it if I need. It was a crappy Thanksgiving for me. That from the Elk Plain Drifter.
You know, it's amazing. My daughter, who's notorious for such things, we were just on vacation, and the wife and I went to, this is when we were in San Diego. We went to the downstairs bar. Now, just as a little backstory on this, the last time we were in Baltimore, so I fly to Baltimore at least once a year to check out a Ravens game. And we went there. We went down to the bar. By the time we get back up to the room, my son is very upset because my daughter had been in the bathroom for so long that he basically had to pee in his own pants, right? And I mean, he is, no pun intended, pissed off. By the time we get up there, they explain, we're like, come on, but you cannot spend that much time in the bathroom. So this time, and this was, a week ago, I guess, we go downstairs to the bar. We're in the same hotel. Just go down the lobby, go to the bar. And my wife leaves them a key card. And I'm like, man, they don't really need one. If they need us, and she said, look, do you remember what happened last time that we were at a hotel? I'm like, okay, fine. We leave. A couple minutes later, well, not a couple, maybe an hour later, the kids are kind of waving to us from outside of the bar. Like, what's up, man? Did you guys lock yourself out? They're like, no. He's like, I came down here and used the bathroom because she pulled the same move again where she's in there for so long. My daughter pointed out, I blocked the toilet. I'm just like, dude.
In the hotel.
I'm like, what is wrong with your ass, man? I'm like, you know what? I'm going back to my drink. I said, you need to go up to that front desk and tell them that you need a plunger and get this thing dealt with. And by the time we went up there, it had been dealt with.
She went up and did it?
No, somebody from the hotel.
Somebody from the hotel probably did
okay.
it.
But you made your
he had
daughter
to
go
do
up and
that last time when we were in Baltimore because same thing. We're just like, how did you block the toilet, man? But it went down and they send someone up. They don't, to the hotel's credit, they will send someone in there. But when the guy gets in there, I'm like, I'm sorry, man. He's like, dude, I've seen worse. This is just my job. But I mean, he's in there plunging someone else's poop. Mm-hmm. So they had to do it
She
again.
is prolific.
It is
And that was,
I'm like,
that was a few years ago. Like, me and Thrill have been at the same party. I got a ride home with him and his wife, and he's like, you know what, come in. We'll have a drink or two. I was like, cool. And I mean, I don't think we were there an hour. And his son was like, she did it again.
Oh, my God.
Right. But now I've already had beverages, so I'm just dying laughing. He's like, it's not funny. I'm like, it's funny to see it in person.
You should keep a diary of it.
Man,
of every time it happens. And that way, like when she gets her first boyfriend, you can just pull out the 6-page manifesto of every single incident that you had.
I thought I'm bringing this up. When you get married, this is the speech I'm getting.
That's what I'm saying.
I know this is a good man, and I hope she married a plumber because, man, oh man.
Here we go.
She can back up a damn toilet.
Blueberries and chicken fingers.
We can't wait to welcome Mario to our family.
Luigi. Somebody. On to the birthday, guys. Today, my first child, Melissa, turns the big 10 years old, the double digits. If you could wish her a very happy birthday, that would be awesome. Much love from the mom, sister, and dad. Love you so much, Melly. How about a little kid fish sandwich there for the big 10-0? Or 1-0.
10-0. She's not 100.
100 years old. Almost like Bob Barker.
Almost.
Good call, gentlemen. There's a huge trifecta of birthdays today. The greatest tattoo artist around here, Sam, who owns the Steadfast Art Collection in Issaquah. The best ever boss, Brian Jones, CEO of the two-time champ Seattle Seawolves. And lastly, my best friend ever, Red the Chicken Man. So could we get some...
Holy shit!
Yeah, some coaching up from Ted and you guys talking all over each other about rugby. Go Seawolves. Cheers, mates. That from the best mascot ever, Rucky the Seawolf. Jeez, oh,
call him a seafool?
Seafool.
Seafool.
Out there looking like a seafool.
Seafool.
All right, Rucky, I've hung out with you. You let me strap the belt on. Yeah. This year, we're going to need another chip. All right? The boys are getting fired up. It's the off season. Rucky, I hope you're putting in your work. Not just putting in the time. I hope you're putting in the work. I want to see you out there next year doing cartwheels. Maybe a backflip. It's up to you, Rucky.
All right, one thing I know about rugby is...
Man, I will say this about rugby.
I'm not going to
play soccer. I guys will play rugby. And he was standing there watching the entire time. Mom might even ask about the play.
And I will tap it.
Not so much collision.
I will start drinking.
I think it's a house of sport. I'm really starting to get into it.
Fun. Gentlemen, today my son, Pee-wee, is 23 years old.
Pee-wee.
He has become a great man who is easily to be proud of. So if the Dirty Germans could give him some tips on his newest hobby, woodworking, that would be appreciated. Thanks, guys. That from his old man.
Yeah, I can't believe that you didn't get into woodworking until you were 23 years old. I discovered this at about the age 11.
Yeah, I just hope this Pee-wee doesn't get a splinter in his wee-wee.
Yeah, Pee-wee-wee-wee. Pee-wee-wee.
All right, guys, here you go.
Happy, happy, happy birthday. Happy, happy, happy birthday. Happy, happy, happy birthday to you, to you, to you.
Ya's a Dirty Germans brought to you by Men's Room Original Sausage. Available through Uli's World Famous Sausage, mensroomlive.com, and other fine retailers. Schweinefleisch.
Think about a couple extra emails here. We'll catch up real quick. The subject is Cheney or Cheney. Guys, it took me a while, but it's not pronounced like the president. That would be the vice president. Mm-hmm. It's only about 15 minutes from Spokane, but you had to go way around when you're talking about how you had to drive, Ted, to get away from the fires.
So it is Cheney.
It's Cheney.
I kept saying Cheney, and then people that are from here were like, it's
Cheney. I thought it was Cheney.
Yeah.
Well, it's Cheney, Ted.
That's right.
I'm glad I was pronouncing it correctly.
Next time you're in Spokane, I'll buy you some beers. Been out here for 2 years from Seattle. Rock on, guys. Keep up the good work. That from David. It is, though, in fact, Cheney Stadium in Tacoma.
Right.
Correct.
It is spelled the same, right?
Sure.
But it's Cheney there.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So why in Iowa is it Des Moines, where both S's are silent on the end of both words?
But here it's Des Moines.
No, here it's Des Moines. Or is it Des Moines? It's Des Moines.
I think it's just Des Moines.
Des Moines. So there's the S at the end, but not at the beginning.
But remember, on the East Coast, there was Rainier Avenue. Right? Rainier.
Or is that just the Baltimore accent?
But everyone in the area said D.C., Baltimore.
D.C., right, because like Bernie grew up, we got him Mount Rainier, but I think it was more the accent. I didn't know it was Rainier.
And then it's Gonzaga High School in D.C., right? Gonzaga?
We call it Gonzaga.
It is Gonzaga.
But then it's right.
There's a place right outside of Rochester, a suburb of Rochester, and it's spelled Chile, Chile. But if you live there, it's Chile. And there was a guy, I think it was a murder or something, and the cops are looking for this guy. He's in a car. They pull him over. They pulled over a few people, but he's one of the people that gets pulled over. And the tip-off was that cops asked him where he was coming from or going to. I don't remember. And he said Chile, because he probably saw a road sign. And they pulled his ass out of there.
Okay.
Because if you live there, you know it's Chile.
Same family gets a name. So in New York, it's Carnegie Hall.
as opposed to Carnegie.
Carnegie Mellon University
Right.
in Pittsburgh. Is it because of a Pittsburgh accent they cannot say Carnegie? They say Carnegie?
It might be because
Carnegie?
Pittsburgh,
Carnegie?
that's how they would say it.
All right.
Carnegie. Right? That's very
Yeah.
Pittsburgh. But right, it's Carnegie Hall.
I mean, sometimes too with sometimes with the native names, it might just depend on what part of the country you're in.
Sure.
So maybe that's why that tribe called it Des Moines, and here they say the S.
Is it Appalachian or Appalachian? I always heard Appalachian, but you say Appalachian, but you're from the Appalachian region. But the problem is, most people.
Well, you also call it Appalachia.
Right, it's Appalachia, but people say Appalachian, but it's hard to know because people from a place rarely say that right. You know, if you're from Baltimore, I'm from Baltimore. My dad still says Houston, which drives me crazy. My uncle has a goddamn PhD, will tell you he lives in Berkeley, California. And he said, I just want to bitch slap him every time he says it.
Caribbean or Caribbean?
Depends. Are the Pirates?
Right, but I'm saying, could you just pronounce it either way? I feel like there's a lot of
pronounce
words.
it either way, but no one says Pirates of the Caribbean. It's always
Caribbean.
Yeah, but
it's the Pirates.
Right, the Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah. No. Coming up, we'll drink and toast the shot of the day, but first.
Now, the men's room wants to know who sucks less?
Yay! Time for Who Sucks Less. Stephen Throw-Hill, you bring us 3 stories from the news each and every week. They all suck. It's up to us, though, to determine out of the 3 stories which one sucks the least. Now, if you happen to follow KISW on Twitter or on Facebook, the debate is already underway on Who Sucks Less.
Yes, indeed. And like I said, at the top of the show, we're calling this particular episode of Who Sucks Less the All About Me edition. All right, so we have, an a-hole neighbor in New Jersey. We have someone on a flight, and let's face it, when someone's on a plane, it's always about them. And then another guy in Florida has to deal with the airport itself. But let's start in New Jersey. So they say, here's an easy way to get called a Karen, which, of course, has become a derogative term. It just deprived kids of ice cream in the middle of July. So this happened last month. But a neighborhood in New Jersey lost its ice cream truck after someone complained about the music. Now, the reason to complain about the traditional ice cream song, there's a lot, but this wasn't the reason they did it. A Mr. Softy truck driving around playing his jingle like always, and somebody found it annoying. And it is annoying, but whatever. Happened in Blackwood, New Jersey. It's near Philly. So someone else who lives in the neighborhood got on Facebook. They said, quote, Mr. Softy has disappeared and been told not to come back around to our area because one neighbor called to complain about the music. Now, it's not clear who complained, but the local news heard about it, and they got in touch with Mr. Softy headquarters. They say they do occasionally get complaints like this, and if they're blasting the jingle at 10 p.m. or something, yeah, they'll make sure it stops. But this was in the middle of the day. And if they didn't play it at all, they wouldn't have any customers. That's how you know they're there. Anyway, kids in the neighborhood, they can breathe a sigh of relief. Other neighbors got in touch with Mr. Softy to complain about the complainer, so now the truck will in fact return.
Okay.
That's all. Look, if you live in neighborhood with kids in July, the ice cream truck's going to come around.
I like the sound of the ice cream truck. I mean, I still scream ice cream.
I mean, it's
ice cream!
Yeah, I mean, to me, it takes me back to a good moment in life.
Yeah.
But this person, whatever. There's always that person.
Like Will Ferrell. Me love Bob!
Now we go to an actual airplane. A woman that's allergic to peanuts claims to have had no choice but to buy all the peanut packets on board the plane so the staff could not offer them to the other passengers because she believed it put her life at risk. For what it is worth, peanut dust does not become airborne. But anyway, Lee Williams, she was on a Eurowings flight from London to Dusseldorf in Germany when she noticed the cabin crew getting ready to serve snacks to the passengers. Because she suffers from a severe peanut allergy, she felt it necessary to let the flight attendants know as well so they can inform the other passengers about it and refrain from serving peanuts during the flight. But she claims that the cabin crew was less than empathetic to her health problems, leaving her no choice but to buy all the packets of peanuts available just so they couldn't serve them up to other people. She ended up spending about $148 on 48 packets of peanuts, which is almost 3 times the price of the plane ticket. Let's keep that in mind. Anyway, she said the crew refused her request to make an announcement to the other passengers not to buy or consume any nuts on board because it could put her into anaphylactic shock, claiming that it was against company policy. However, a Eurowings spokesperson said the crew offered to inform the passengers around her about her condition, just not the entire plane. Anyway, they say They're unable to guarantee that the aircraft is free of foodstuffs that may trigger an allergic reaction, such as peanuts, because passengers are allowed to bring their own food on board anyway. Furthermore, despite the constant cleaning, the company is unable to prevent an accumulation of peanut traces, blah, blah, blah. So the case sparked a heated online debate about which side was in the wrong and whether Lee Williams even had anything to worry about. But according to the scientific study by the American Academy of Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology, peanut dust is not transmitted through the air and could at most cause a slight local irritation. All right. So I understand her concern, but they're like, that's nothing you need to worry about. But anyway, she bought them. Well, so if you want peanuts in that flight, you're not getting them. And now we go to Florida, where if you run to an airport gate late and the door's already closed, there's probably nothing you can say to get them to open the door. But one thing you definitely won't work is making a bomb threat. But that didn't stop a 30-year-old man named Vincent Sereno. He was furious when he showed up late for his flight on a Monday afternoon. He wasn't allowed to board the plane, so he started screaming at the gate agents. He shouted, "I'm going to blow this effing place up. I'm going to take you all out." As you'd imagine, agent called 911. Vincent was arrested on charges of making a bomb threat and making false reports of mass destruction, again, on federal property. So his attorney says that Vincent is a truck driver. He was trying to pick up his truck from a repair shop. He's out on bond now, but he's not allowed to go on any airport property, so he'll have to find another way to get his truck. So like I said, the All About Me edition, you have one person in a neighborhood full of kids who hates the sound of the ice cream truck and tried to get Mr. Softy himself, to stop delivering. We have the lady who has a peanut allergy. I can sympathize with that, but spent $184 on 48 packs of peanuts, and she's mad at the airline. And they're like, look, if they brought peanuts on from the store themselves, like, there's nothing we can do. And then finally, this guy in Florida who's late for his own flight and threatens to blow up the airport.
He sucks the most.
I would agree.
I don't know what they had to do in the airport. Maybe they just took him out of there and nothing was delayed or anything. But still, look, you know the line.
Right.
Look,
I've missed flights.
Right.
And you can't.
It's nobody's fault but yours or traffic's.
Correct. I was to say one time I got there and almost missed a flight because security was like 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
But that's the exception.
Sure.
Every other time I've missed a flight, it's clearly been my fault.
Mm-hmm. Right. Peanut allergy lady obviously doesn't know her allergy very well, but she bought all the peanuts.
She has an allergy. It's just look, but her science is wrong, but I understand her concern. But don't get mad at the airline. She wants a refund, was the point. She wanted to get a refund. They're like, look, if you buy this stuff, that's your choice to do that.
Also, probably no more than an hour and 15-minute flight.
From London to Dusseldorf.
I wouldn't think. I'm going to say the New Jersey guy, he sucks the least. Even though he lives in New Jersey, everything is loud there. He should already know that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
He sucks the least.
Man. I don't know. I hate that guy in New Jersey.
I hate him.
He is ruining a whole neighborhood summer.
And this is in July.
Right, and I fathom that the ice cream truck is back. But, I'm with you. As a kid growing up, like, when your parents work, like, the ice cream truck was like one of the highlights of the day. If you weren't playing wiffle ball or something. Man, yeah. That's a tough one. Was their flights canceled and everything because he threatened to blow up the airport?
No, because they didn't believe him.
All right,
still, you can't do that was the thing.
I mean, I'll say he sucks the least then.
Okay.
Because nobody really got
blown up.
Yeah, and like nobody else had to leave the airport.
It's all on him.
Right.
Right, like the nut lady, if she had just bought them, I wouldn't have an issue with her. But the fact she wants a refund.
Yeah, but I like peanuts on an airline, and she denied me.
That's kind of crazy.
I'm with you. I really just hate the guy in Jersey. You can't take an ice cream truck away from kids.
Debate continues on Who Sucks Less if you follow KISW on Facebook and on Twitter. Shout of the Day's coming up. You are listening to The Men's Room.
Hey there, everybody. I'm Melvin Robert from the TV show Extra. Every day on our show, we talk to the biggest celebrities and the biggest newsmakers around. We get exclusive details about hookups and breakups, baby news, and the behind-the-scenes info from your favorite TV shows and movies. But we can only fit so much on our show. That's where Extra the Podcast comes in. Listen and follow Extra the Podcast, an Odyssey podcast on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcast.
99.9 KISW. The shenanigans continue. This is the Men's Room with Miles and Thrill.
Couple of minutes, we'll drink and toast with the shot of the day. And we do have your headlines on the way at 5:50. But first, a quick check out with Mike Hawk and some of the stories and headlines he is not working on.
All right, in their slew of cancellations, Starbucks managed to quit selling bananas without anybody noticing.
I certainly didn't. But I never went to Starbucks
I don't think
for
I brought it up, but I was like, they just don't have them.
Right.
Because I just always thought they were sold out. Did they discontinue that salad?
Which one?
They had one with like chicken.
They might have, Ted. I'm not
it's like
positive.
I haven't seen that one in forever.
They just cut a handful of stuff off their menu out of nowhere, and bananas was one of the casualties that just nobody really noticed about. And I remember that you were my guy that would go down there and you just grab a banana while you were there at the checkout.
Yeah, I just assumed it was just the one, like in our building.
Right.
People like their bananas.
Mm-hmm. They still do. Bananas are a great source.
So
of
guess
potassium.
what? Ted noticed. Ted noticed Starbucks.
He did.
I mean, not enough to be like, son of a bitch.
Where's all the damn bananas?
I'm going to freak out in here.
A new study says that people are more likely to break conversation rules if they see someone else doing it first.
Some people are more likely to do anything if you see someone do it first.
Correct.
You know, the bell rings at the end of class. The first kid that pops up, the rest of them get up and go.
Right. We're all sheep to some degree.
Sure.
As long as we see somebody else doing it, that makes it okay.
It's like jaywalking in Seattle.
Right.
I have no problem doing it because I think it's a stupid rule in the first place, but I know that once I step out there and do it, suddenly like 3 people are behind me that had been standing there before I did it.
Oh, yeah. That's my favorite.
I always remember the cigarettes.
What's that? Oh, yeah. Go somewhere and
Yeah,
no
like
one's
we were
smoking.
sitting somewhere one night, and it was like a nice steakhouse with a bar, and smoking inside was still legal. And Thurl was like, "Watch this! When I light one up," and I mean, it was unbelievable. It was like boom, 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 right down the bar. It was like everybody was just waiting for somebody to light the first one,
waiting for somebody.
And everyone gets their food at once,
right? Yeah, of course.
I would say it. Well, I would say it's also like, maybe like a daytime party. Maybe it's a kids' party. Somebody would be like, "Want to go outside and smoke a little weed?"
There you go.
I am I'm the Pied Piper at any school events, right, that we have at the school.
Oh, sure.
All the kids come up to him.
All the kids. No, but all the adults know I'm holding, right? Like, I'm notorious for that. So at some point when you get a break or you can go outside or whatever it is, as soon as I stand up to go outside, like 3 guys running, "Hey, man, can I come with you?" I'm like, "Of course, man. Of course."
Has your flask gotten bigger and bigger over the years?
I don't bring the flask. I just bring joints now.
All right.
Because my wife gets upset if I show back up drunk, but she doesn't say anything if I'm stoned. So that's how you play that game.
I don't think you say much more when you're stoned. I think you just kind of relax.
Oh, yeah.
Chill and watch out.
Real chill.
Subway has their own blimp now.
They have a blimp?
I saw that.
They got a blimp.
Like Blimpy subs?
Blimpy doesn't have a blimp.
Right? That's what I thought. I've never been to a Blimpy.
I don't know that they really leave like the Northeast.
Okay.
Ted, have I been to a Blimpy? Before I say I've never been to a Blimpy.
I don't know.
And
I
then
know-
Ted tell me,
yeah.
yes, you have, man.
Well, we haven't been to one out here, but Blimpies. Like I don't remember Jersey Mike's growing up, but like Blimpy's whole thing was like you went there and they like sliced the meat in front of you, this and that.
Right. Nice.
But they were hard to find. I remember me and my brother would drive like 20 minutes out of the way to go to a Blimpy's.
All right.
So is there anything with this Subway blimp other than it's just a blimp?
It's
that says-
blimp.
Okay.
Not that I know of, at least. I'm not working on it. It's like, all right, cool. Subway's got a blimp.
I wonder how that works, right? Like you watch, the Rose Bowl.
There's a
Super
Blimpy
Bowl.
and Squim.
Does Goodyear own the blimp game when it comes to
I think they've
like
got the
major
most
sporting events? I know it was a
notorious
Fujifilm.
Fuji was big for a while.
But like Goodyear's always there, and they always point out the Goodyear blimp. And I don't know that I necessarily even see like a Goodyear tire commercial.
Right.
But they'll point out the Goodyear blimps there.
Sure.
So if Subway, can they crowd out Goodyear? Like, oh, there's the Subway blimp.
Right. I mean, I don't think you're going to find a more notorious blimp other than,
The Hindenburg.
But as far as...
That was a dirigible, not a blimp. That was
Right.
explained to us.
I mean, look, I grew up watching sports, right? So they don't use it nearly as much. But the Goodyear blimp,
that
was
was
a
the jam.
massive deal. But I think I've only seen it like maybe twice.
I've seen it twice.
Okay.
There's the MetLife Snoopy blimp.
Yeah, that was big for a while, too.
I don't think B.F. Goodrich ever had a blimp, but they wanted to.
You know what? I actually don't mind Subway. So I cool. Have your blimp.
They should do like a Victoria's Secret blimp.
Oh,
But cover the side like what you do in the catalog. Like, no one would watch the sporting event. Everyone would be in the sky.
Just this big lingerie.
Yeah.
Mike, I'm with you. I don't know why, but I'm like, oh, cool, a Subway blimp.
Right. I can get down with Subway. I don't mind. It's good.
We need a men's room blimp.
Ooh, a men's room blimp.
Men's room blimp.
Who's going to drive it?
Well, probably the guy.
Yeah. The men's room blimp driver, Mike.
Men's
All
room.
right, so the Goodyear
blimp
has
caddy.
3 blimps.
Okay.
One in California, one in Ohio, one in Florida.
The more we say blimp, the dumber the word sounds to me.
What is this? Blimp.
Blimp.
Fair to say, I think that everybody here in this room knows an idiot somewhere in their life. Not somebody that, not the idiot in the sense of like any kind of lack of intelligence. They're just dumb.
Right.
They're more of a social idiot. But the thing is, as we look at them, we realize that they just don't know that they're idiots.
That's what makes them idiotic.
At least if you're me, it causes me to wonder if I'm an idiot and I just don't know it. So luckily, there's a few parameters.
10. The Men's Room Top 10. 10 signs you're a complete and utter idiot. Here's one. If you think everyone else around you is toxic, maybe the toxic person is you. For example, if you run into one jerk during the day, you run into a jerk. But if everyone you run into in the day is a jerk, maybe you're the jerk. I quote the famous philosopher, George Costanza. Well, the jerk store called, and they're running out of you.
I like that he cleaned it up, too.
That's right.
Jerk.
Jerks. Yes. So these are signs that you're a complete and utter idiot. They say not that they're not good listeners. It's basically they posted it out there. What's a sign that somebody's a complete idiot? And they had everybody answer. Somebody says when they wait for you to stop talking instead of listening to what you're actually saying. And some people don't even wait. They just try to cut you off constantly.
Yeah, I mean, I know a few people like that.
Yeah. The only reason why I do it here is because sometimes it's hard to get a word in.
We gotta fight for it.
We really do, man.
Yeah, some people just talk at you.
That's the best way to explain it, right?
Right.
I'm not talking to you, they're just talking at you.
I'm waiting for you to finish what you're saying so I can tell you the brilliant thing that's in my brain. That was actually an exercise, like an improv group came and talked with a bunch of us auctioneers. We had this auctioneers workshop, and that was one thing that was basically talking about socialization. And that was one exercise that they did, is that you couldn't start a conversation, you couldn't start a sentence without it starting with it's like Castle does with the hookup.
Yeah.
The first word of your sentence has to start with the same letter that the last sentence ended with.
Okay, all right, just so that you're listening.
You listen throughout the conversation.
Oh man, I would say stuff like, yeah, and I had to pick off all the fuzz. I saw a fox.
I was gonna say Zelda's a great game.
It is.
Well done. And Mike comes in with, yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is. See, it stops me dead. It stops me dead. I'm bad at conversations.
Everyone agrees with you, Ted.
This one says they don't respect simple boundaries.
Totally.
Like they ask you to do something for them or to go somewhere with them, then instead of accepting a simple no, they go on and on trying to guilt you into agreeing.
I feel like that happened in my younger days, but not so much now.
It still happens.
I was guilty.
It
of that when I
doesn't
was
include
younger.
your spouse.
It was always
No,
my,
not her.
It was always my roommate. Like, come on, man, let's just go out for one. Well, I gotta start. No, one. Come on, let's just get one.
That's you to a T. Come on.
That one
shows up a lot.
It's Tuesday night. What else are we gonna do?
Take my phone and take a picture of this chick's
on.
ass.
Right.
All right, Miles, fine, I'll do it.
Can we
in
also-
this dark bar, so that when you hit the camera thing, the
I didn't
flash
know that was
goes
gonna
off.
happen.
I didn't know either, and everyone in the bar looks at you.
Can we also accept that most people are just trying to preserve feelings and feign that they have something else going on?
Of course.
Take them at their, oh, sorry, I've got a thing. The lady's she's going to go get her nails done. Well, that's not going to take very long. You can come right up.
I know. Just like, okay.
I'm not coming.
It's the best thing about having kids, Mike. Sure, they love you. Yeah, you love them back. There's all these wonderful moments and memories you have, but also like, dude, I got to hang with the kids.
Sorry, man.
I know. There's a lot of situations like that. And sometimes just like, all right, look, if you want me to say it, I will
Right.
crush you and just say it.
Right. I have proven that if I can, I will show up if I want to. So
I want to.
There's a weak-ass excuse why I'm not. I don't want to. Let's see. This one says, dogs chained up outside every day, all day. Moldy water, hardly any food, no love and protection. I wish the worst on people that do this is basically mistreating their pets.
Well, yeah, that one I think is glaringly obvious.
Right. You're
That
not
was
just an idiot,
much
you're an
more
a-hole.
common when I was growing up.
Oh, in the
as far as
70s, that was what you did.
Dog was outside in a pen or had its own area. Or
I don't think I knew anyone with an indoor dog. Now, I'm thinking back to the 70s when I was a kid.
Dogs were bigger.
Everyone had dogs, but yeah, you're right. All of them were chained up outside, and all of them were mean as hell.
Right, because they're chained up outside.
Or they're in like a
Right, a big ass crate.
Yeah, right. Exactly. They make a pen out back with a concrete floor and all that crap.
This one says
I'm with you. You don't
Why'd you get a dog?
I don't feel like you see that as nearly
That's why
as
Sunshine.
much
That's why
anymore.
Sunshine left. Sunshine had a dog house and was out back, in a chain link fence, and that was her little area. My stepfather didn't want a dog inside, so eventually the neighbors would just go over and let her out, and let her come down and play with their dogs in the yard and go inside the house. Well, how am I supposed to compete with that?
Right. This one says when they're rude to service people like waiters or cashiers, I think it shows a lack of empathy. Again, these are the signs that you're a complete and utter idiot. I don't get how people are rude to service people anymore in this day and age.
Some people are just built that way, man.
Right.
It's amazing to me, but yeah.
Right. Looks like they don't even care. Well, they couldn't win with you.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
And some people are just kind of swarmy a-holes.
That's what I mean. Like, that is how they are built.
I've gone
It throws you off when it's somebody... Sorry, Mike.
It's all right. It's cool. No, please.
I don't want to be one of those people. It throws me off when it's somebody I like. I might not know them that well. They seem nice. They're nice to everybody. And then they're kind of rude to a server. And I'm like, wow.
That's kind of jarring.
Right.
Yeah.
I quit going out with a buddy because he just, every time we went to a restaurant, he almost made it a point to be rude to the service staff. Look down on them.
Then why would you go there?
Almost, right. And that's my whole thing. It's like, okay, they are bringing you food that you didn't have to make that you are paying for. So why are you making this so unpleasant for everybody? I'm uncomfortable sitting across from you.
Yeah. I have a quote family member. He used to wait for maybe a minute. So he was a waiter.
Is that who I'm thinking?
For maybe a minute. But he knows everything about what waiters should be doing or waitresses.
Oh, right. They should.
He becomes captain critic of the job that they're doing and almost basically...
You know what you should be doing.
I mean, he doesn't... We wait for them to go away, but his overall demeanor...
But it ruins it for you.
...is not good to them when he's talking to them.
Right.
But then when they leave, he does should have done this and this, and why isn't the water in the lumber here?
Right. It was also different when you were doing it.
God. Also, you weren't in a nice place.
Right.
This is a nice restaurant.
Right.
It's a family dinner.
I would also say, I think people in their 20s, sometimes you'll run into that thing where, like, not everybody's still, a lot of people are still trying to find jobs or careers.
Yeah.
So sometimes you just have friends that, like I had some girl I was dating, some of her friends were just terrible. Like, they would drink half a drink and then send it back because it wasn't right. And I was like, I can't hang out with them anymore.
No.
Right.
Come
on. You're trying to scam the bar.
Like when I heard
or tell them they can't afford it, don't go out.
When I heard about your trip to Montana and the gal that was working by herself in the entire freaking place, like kitchen, bar, everything.
It blew my mind.
It would terrify me to bring somebody like that there because they wouldn't understand. They would see her going to every table, going into the kitchen and washing the dishes and doing everything back there, and they'd still find a way to just talk about how outrageous it is.
You're lucky the place is open and the COVID didn't kill it.
Right.
Think of it that
we
way.
bought 2 koozies. She's spending, it literally was like 5 minutes looking for them. And she goes, I said, hey, you know what? You're busy.
Right.
You don't have to look for the koozies.
Right.
We'll come back and get them.
You're good, dude. They mock you for working towards self-improvement. They say they mock you for trying to lose weight or trying to improve yourself in general, said somebody.
I can't imagine doing that, but... Or you're going to quit drinking.
Not to their face.
Well, sure, talking behind someone's back is entirely different.
Tommy's going to lose weight. He said that last month.
I feel like talking behind people's back is perfectly okay. Right? I mean, because it's on your mind. It's someone that you're talking to about them. It's like, look, everyone talks behind their back. I've even explained that to the kids. Like, when the real little kids... It's the first time my son saw a little person. I mean, he just stopped in his tracks, and I'm trying to pull him away, and he's like pointing. You know what I mean? And it's like, dude, listen, man. If you're going to do stuff like that, you can ask me about it or tell me, but don't just actively hurt someone's feelings.
But this is the number one sign that you're a complete and utter idiot. And yes, Texter, they don't mean idiot, they mean a-hole.
Oh, plenty of people say that.
Anybody who corrects them is a hater. When they say screw all my haters, when people are just giving them suggestions on how to be a decent human being,
it's not hate.
You're just soft. No, you're a jerk.
If you're over the age of 30, and like I hate that term.
Haters.
Yeah.
Later haters.
Right. I mean, that's funny, but like people are just, they're just hating her. They're just hating her. Like, shut up.
No, they don't
Grow
like
up.
you, but but there's a reason.
And honestly, you kind of suck. They might be right. They're not haters.
Right.
They hate you.
Yeah.
Damn. A scientist in Japan had an idea to study the local bird life, but it's a little odd, Miles.
So stupid.
What is on about this?
I'll give you the details at 5:50.
Thank you, sir. Headlines are Coda at 5:50. In the meantime, let's get a contestant on the line for Profile This at 206-803-ROCK.
Dealing with an accident and injury claim can be overwhelming. Let Phillips Law Firm fight for you. We understand the pain and suffering, and we're here to guide you through. Call 1-800-JUSTICE today for a free case review, or visit justiceforyou.com and let Phillips Law Firm help you on the road to recovery.
Hey there, everybody. I'm Melvin Robert from the TV show Extra. Every day on our show, we talk to the biggest celebrities and the biggest newsmakers around. We get exclusive details about hookups and breakups, baby news, and the behind-the-scenes info from your favorite TV shows and movies. But we can only fit so much on our show. That's where Extra the podcast comes in. Listen and follow Extra the podcast and Odyssey Podcast on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcast.
Hey, it's Mike Hawk. Want more Men's Room content? Follow the Men's Room page of the Odyssey app and check out my live stream, A Moment with Mike Hawk and Nothing in Particular with Steve the Thrill Hill. Going live Thursdays and Fridays at 1 exclusively on the Men's Room page of the Odyssey app.
Have we made it to drinking time?
Yes. Somebody out there deserves to be recognized. And the Men's Room knows just who it is. So to you, we say, bottoms up, sailor. You're the toast of our shot of the day.
Drink time it is, and as usual, we head to the drink desk and Steve Throw-Hill to find out who we're toasting.
Yes, indeed. Today we toast 40-year-old Ben Lilly of West Yorkshire, England. Now, early last Saturday morning, Ben driving home when he spotted a dead animal on the side of the road. But as Ben says, he says, in that part of the country, that's not unusual. In the area that he lives specifically, he's driven past all kinds of dead animals, foxes, badgers, the occasional pet. But in this instance, he wasn't exactly sure what he was seeing. As he put it, the animal was fairly large, covered in spots, and had a long tail. So he turned his car around and drove slowly by it. That's when he realized it was a freaking leopard, okay? Oh. In England, a leopard was dead in the street. So he says he cautiously got out of the car and slowly approached it, fearing that if the leopard wasn't dead, it would, quote, rip my face off. I understand that. And it turns out the leopard did not, because it was not a leopard. It was a leopard print onesie, complete with the tail. But when you look at the picture, he took a picture of it, man. When I initially looked at the story, I thought it was a dead leopard in the middle of the street. But yeah, actually, he said it was a leopard print coat from some young tart. But yeah, this is a leopard print onesie.
Of some young tart?
That is his exact quote.
Where was this? England?
England. West Yorkshire, England.
It was a deaf leopard.
Yes, a deaf leopard. Hey-o. All right, so we pour this booze and we drink this booze because we think it's yummy.
Yummy!
So over the tongue and down the throat to party in our tummies. Down the hola bichola.
The Men's Room presents Profile This.
Hey, Stephen Throw-Hill, could you please tell everyone how Profile This is played?
Sure can, Miles. It's a simple game where we share with you a real-life news story, something that happened right here on planet Earth. Earth. And as you listen to the story, based on the stereotypes you believe to be true of people and the decisions that people make, we'll ask you what it is you think makes the story a story. All right, Miles, Ted, I'm pitting the two of you against each other.
Okay.
You have one of three topics. We have Bite Me. In other words, what did someone find in their food? We have Interior Decorating, where you guess the foreign object that ended up on the inside of someone. And finally, Animalize This, where you guess the animal responsible for causing the problem.
Have we done animals in a while? Feels like an animal day.
Let's do it. All right, here's your story. We go to New Jersey, where an animal dropped out of the sky by its bird captor caused a power outage for a section of homes in a New Jersey town.
Oh, hey, I'm falling here.
Yeah. They said the incident occurred on a Saturday, and the police speculate that a bird of prey caught the animal and then dropped it, and when it dropped it, the thing landed on a transformer, which caused damage. Sayersville, New Jersey. It's about 30 miles south of New York City. This happened on Raritan Bay and Raritan River. They say, quote, the hypothesis is that the bird dropped it. It just landed perfectly and destroyed the transformer. A representative from the Jersey Central Power and Light, they told Fox News that the outage affected about 2,100 customers for less than 2 hours, but they did confirm that it was caused by the dropped animal onto the transformer. The question, of course, what was the animal that the bird dropped? It landed on the transformer. Was it a rabbit, a chihuahua, a fish, or a squirrel? So rabbit, chihuahua, fish, or squirrel?
Squirrel was what was the third one?
Fish.
Yeah,
Fish,
rabbit,
chihuahua, fish, or squirrel. I'm going chihuahua, Ted.
Are you?
I am.
Huh. Any reason why? For the hell of it?
That would make him somewhat
an amazing story, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would.
I'm going to go with the fact that since the pandemic, I see rabbits everywhere.
I do too.
Yeah.
Right? I saw them when I was living on Capitol Hill. Now I'm a little bit north. I still see them. I had one pacing me the other day. I said, slow, easy, big fella.
You know why?
I'm not messing with you.
Because they feel like rabbits.
Right, and then he ran away. It's probably because I yelled at him. But I'm gonna
that does the trick. It really does.
Right. I'm going to go with rabbit.
Okay. What blew the transformer? And did he like it? A rabbit, a chihuahua, a fish, or a squirrel? We'll find out next.
That was a tease.
99.9 KISW. We return to the men's room with Miles and Thrill.
Categories Animalize this on Profile This. We go to New Jersey where an animal was dropped from the sky after being taken by a bird of prey. Landed on a transformer and blew the power for a few hours. Question is, what did this bird pick up and drop out of the sky that blew the power? Rabbit, chihuahua, fish, or a squirrel?
A couple people chimed in. They said the men's room. I think fish, because why else would they think it dropped from a bird? That from John. Says, my parents owned a Christmas tree farm years ago, and I've seen an eagle pick up a small dog while the lady was sitting there screaming. Craziest thing I've ever seen. And then they say, good theory, Ted, but I've been shouting Chihuahua since before Thrill even read the options. And Miles, you went with Chihuahua. Which
I did.
I desperately wish was the answer. I know how that sounds. I apologize, but I do.
No,
not a Chihuahua. Ted, you went with the rabbit, because let's face it, they're
everywhere.
They're every freaking where. Not a rabbit.
Mm-hmm.
It was, in fact, a fish.
It was.
That
it
makes
was a
the
fish.
most sense.
It really does.
Probably an osprey or something like that when it picked up.
Actually, that is exactly what they said. They believe it was an osprey. It picked up the fish. It dropped the fish. It landed on the transformer, and you lost power.
It seems like it'd have to be a good-sized fish to knock out a transformer.
I would imagine, yeah.
Yeah, squirrels aren't that big, and they'll blow one, and
that's true, man.
Block will be gone. They're doing their dance. Boom. Now for all TV news all time for TV Time with T.
And now, because your pathetic life is confined to countless hours in front of a talking box, the Men's Room presents TV Time with Ted.
All right, so I think everybody's aware that the writers are still on strike, as are the actors. So basically, anybody that's an actor or writer has been out on that picket trail, on the picket line, picket trail. Jesus, on the picket line, out there protesting this and that. Well, it's picket line. Anyhow, Bryan Cranston, of course, from Breaking Bad, Malcolm in the Middle, one of Mike and I's favorite guys. He was out there, and they asked him about AI.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, never before. This contract will have a sentence in there that states actors must be human beings. This is mind-boggling, but that's what it will say. And the same thing with the Writers Guild contract. Must be written by a human being. Yeah. We've never had to imagine that before, but that's here right now. And we have to step in and say, you are dehumanizing the workforce, and it cannot continue.
Good for them.
Yeah, I mean, you got to put that in there.
Yeah. I'd like to see it in our industry.
Well, you would think
it'll happen.
You would think we'd get an update on that strike one way or another. Like, are they sitting down? Have they even come close to the table? Or
how long has it been now? Like 3 months, maybe.
It's just
the
pushing
writers
back
have been out
so far
since I want to say May.
Yeah, it's pretty much all summer, right?
Right.
Yeah, because they tried to time it with the idea that, hey, you're going to show your finales. People are going to want to see what comes out September, October, right? So you hope to get it done before then.
I mean, UPS, they were talking about it. And then UPS went, no, that can't happen.
Right.
Fix that right away.
Did they? I thought they went on strike for like a day.
Maybe they did.
I think it was like a day, but, UPS, they obviously they were negotiating to get to the point.
This is not good. This can't happen,
Right. And it man, again, I mean, labor disputes are such a big deal. And, that's the other thing, too, is, when you get to this point, this is up to the studios. You know what I mean?
And absolutely.
They can't, you know what I mean? You've given all you can give from that side when you're in these spots. And then finally it's like, all right, well, we're left with the nuclear option is we'll strike.
And the thing is, we were crunching the numbers a couple of weeks ago. I wish I still had them written down. But to understand what the...
It's like 0.001% of profit.
What the writers are asking for as far as revenue goes, the studios on average, would have to give up 0.003% of the revenue they make now. So in other words, they would give up 3 cents for every $1,000. And that would cover the cost of what the writers are asking for.
Yeah, and
so
like,
just keep that.
Yeah.
Every 1,000, 3 cents. I would take that deal every day. Ted, if you came to me and say, hey, man, I want, for every $1,000 you make, I want 3 cents. I'm like, cool.
Right.
You know, it gets you back to work. We get back in production, and I can go back to making hundreds of millions and billions of dollars. I mean, think about the 0.00, and that's on average.
Right, it's nothing.
Between like Netflix, Disney, and it's all a little bit different, but all of them, it's 0.00. And then so even if it's 0.008 for this company, because I'm smaller, okay, so for every $1,000 I make, that's it. For every $10,000 we make, I'd have to pay you 80 cents.
And if you create something and it's going to air again and again, like streaming, just like reruns.
That's
like
not in there. That's one of the things.
Yeah,
streaming
like,
services. Yeah.
Right. That's what I'm trying to say, is that you should get paid for that.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. And then also the other thing too is like, I enjoy a free market. You go make as much money as you want. But I think some of this too just goes back to like, people don't really know this stuff because we just idolize like the mega rich, which you could start right. Like if you're already in the workforce, you're never going to reach Bezos.
Right.
So like people need to start coming down on those people higher up, you know, because like I still see people posting like, why don't they just get back to work, hire different writers? And it's like, Jesus, man, what is your dog in this fight? Right. I mean, like, why do you think this is a bad idea to pay them? And they're not even, look, they should be getting more. They're not asking for that much. These are just greedy studios that refuse to pay.
And those are the hard numbers, 0.00, then fill in the number.
As far as profit goes,
yeah, it's
and you see what they make, and you're like, man, it's not really hurting your pocket.
And think about this, though. That's not like per person. I mean, this is the totality of the writers. If they got the contract they're looking for, it would cost these two, all of them. And I don't know, there could be thousands, there could be hundreds. I don't know how many writers there are, but all of them collectively would affect these studios 0.00, whatever the number is.
Right. And for every one movie star or TV star you see, there is hundreds of people behind the scenes getting it all ready.
Right.
You know, writing, producing, directing, doing makeup, doing costume. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, those are the people you got to think about that really need this stuff.
They're the ones getting killed in this. Yeah.
Right, sure. Like, Brad Pitt's going to be fine. You know what I mean? Like,
we can make $20 million a movie. It's like, right, I can go protest along with them, but I'm going back to my mansion.
And even a lot of actors in Hollywood, you know, like the biggest thing I can compare it to is just look at athletes, right? When you look at the NFL, like, you know all the big names and stuff, but there's a lot of guys grinding it out, going from practice squad to practice squad, or barely ever playing and this and that, but they help the team.
They absolutely do.
You know what I mean? I mean,
your offensive line, if you pay your quarterback a lot of money, Lamar, Mahomes, like, you need to hook up the offensive line. There's part of they're like the stuntmen. There's a reason why you think this guy looks so good, and it's because they're not getting killed.
Right, like I watched a horrible, gut-wrenching video today with Bill Belichick.
All right.
And they were talking about that damn Super Bowl. And the guy that draws up the scout team plays, they were just like, yeah, we had seen the Seahawks run it, and there's one guy that watches his tape and breaks down and tells the scout team what to run. And he was like, we kept seeing Malcolm Butler going around. He wasn't getting there in time. So the week before, like, they practiced defending it because that one dude who you've never heard of, I can't remember, but I mean, I was just like, even I, sports nerd, was like, oh yeah, I forget. Right, that guy spent that much time being like, we're going to keep doing this. We're going to keep doing this because Butler, they're going to run that play.
Right.
Yeah. So just crazy stuff. Now, some good news. Some of the late night guys, Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel, Seth Meyers, and John Oliver, they've teamed up to do a podcast called Strike Force 5.
Strike Force.
All the proceeds will benefit their staffers who are out of work because of the writer's strike. I was going to say, launched today, most major platforms, will be at least 12 episodes. It'll also be kind of funny, see how funny they are without writers.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, John Oliver, like, they're all super funny people.
But what we see them do has been prepared, practice, etc.
Correct. Well, it's also kind of funny, too, is like Seth Meyers we're used to him in front of the camera, but he was one of the head writers at SNL. So between the five of them, I'm sure they come up with something. But it would be funny.
It'll be funny
to listen to a podcast of those five guys, and it just got dry and boring. They talk about the strike, taking turns leading the conversation. I guess they came up with the idea as the five of them would do Zoom meetings once a week and check in.
That's cool.
That's kind of cool they do that.
I think it's great they're all friends.
I mean, it's such a limited industry.
Exactly.
You know,
just like the head coaches get together in the NFL every year and pal around and do a whole weekend and just kind of hang out.
Hell, the players do.
Yeah.
You think about every offseason, it's like the receiver on this team has been working out with the quarterback on this other team. You know, it's like, that's what we do every
we live here, you know, wherever that is.
Yeah, Florida.
Yeah, that is
Florida and Arizona.
Because nowadays everybody freaks out when your wide receiver is down there with like Lamar in Miami. It's like, well, they all grew up in Miami.
They know each other,
and then a lot of times, a lot of these guys played college ball together. So like, they're just practicing. Let's see here, Bob Barker. I did not realize till today that he only been married once, then had another long-term girlfriend, never had children. Kind of like, because I remember when I was a kid, there was like some scandal of him like hooking up with the Barker's beauties. It's like, he wasn't married.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, was that a scandal? Right. An unmarried man had sex with a hot chick. Okay.
I like to say it's safe to assume he had a lot of money, but according to TMZ, he left most of it to charity. That includes a lot of animal welfare organizations, which isn't
that
shocking.
was his big thing, right?
Yeah. Reminds me of the Hershey's.
Well, he had nobody to leave it to. Other than his girlfriend and those
Mr.
charities.
Hershey and his wife never had children. So until about 20 years ago, all the money went into a trust and there was an orphanage because they wanted to help out kids.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, if you got to be an orphan, that's probably the one to be at.
Yeah, and when I say orphanage, I'm using that lightly because, like, it's the Hershey company.
They call it the Hershey House.
Do they really?
I don't know.
Oh. I should know. I've stayed at Hotel Hershey, which, by the way, one of the finest hotels you ever. I think it's the only 5-star hotel I've ever stayed in.
Damn.
Huh.
Yeah, it's unreal. Bob Barker's rep said he spent a lot of time in his last few days watching TV. Apparently, he very much liked TV. Reruns of 2.5 Men were among his favorites.
Really? Nice.
Yeah, he said that Bob every once in a while would check in on The Price is Right. He thought Drew Carey was doing a good job as a host.
Doing a good job,
yeah.
2.5 Men.
Yeah, I just like the idea that the guy that's on TV every day for basically anybody listening's whole life.
Yeah.
And then, like, when he's at home, he's like, I'll watch some TV.
Watch TV, I like TV.
Drink vodka.
Tequila.
That's right, tequila.
Right? Watching the tube and tequila. That's how you get a long life. Right, obviously not.
99. I mean, hey.
What kind of tequila you think he was drinking? You're
Well,
Bob Barker.
Look, when he started out, I don't think it's reached the level that it is now.
So I bet you he's stuck
maybe in
with the
Southern
garbage.
California, he was probably drinking better stuff than most people in L.A.
Sure.
But as it got better, man, he's drinking good stuff. It's Bob. He's drinking like Don Julio 1942.
Right. I think it progresses over time, too. Like, I just read a whole article with Jimmy Buffett, and he was saying, like, he really doesn't drink much anymore. He doesn't smoke weed. But he's like, well, sometimes on Sundays, I have some tequilas and this and that. Because tequila you know what I mean? Like,
definitely has improved its game.
It's improved its game, and it's also, health-wise,
one of the best ones.
Right. So that's why they probably, I don't think he started with tequila, but I bet by, the 90s or whatever, he was a tequila guy.
Yeah, if you're a diabetic, they strongly suggest you use agave instead of honey or processed sugar. Right. Things.
Related note, CBS will have a hour-long special tomorrow night called The Price is Right, a tribute to Bob Barker, obviously hosted by Drew Carey.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Now, Drew Carey, we know, is part owner of the Sounders. They're in action tonight. It's not about the Sounders right now. It's about the hottest damn team in baseball. How about those Seattle Mariners?
Man. Last night was a little iffy. They had a scratchy pitcher, and they played okay. One of the best defensive plays I've ever seen from a pitcher before he got yanked in the fourth was a little kind of chop bunt down the left field line on the infield. He goes over, bare hands this thing, slides, slips, and throws the dude out of first base. He's pulled the next inning, but still one of the best defensive plays for a pitcher I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, I just think it's great for Mariners fans, right?
Yeah.
By the time we moved here, the Seahawks have always been pretty good since we moved here.
2005,
right? You have Hasselback, Sean Alexander. Those teams are rolling, right? Yeah, the Sonics are still in town, but the Mariners weren't always super hot. And honestly, they were just terrible forever.
Steve and I's first game, we saw Dilfer, man. Then he was gone. Dilfer, yeah.
But the longer I stayed here and started making friends and stuff that grew up here, I was impressed with how passionate people were about the Seattle Mariners. And truthfully, to Mariners fans' credit, for a lot of years, the guy that owned them, the Nintendo guy, he never showed up to a game. He didn't really care about winning. So you can't blame fans for not going to the park.
Sure.
But man, after last year and then what they're doing again this year, that place was rocking and rolling. I don't know if it was sold out last night, but it looked freaking packed again.
And what did you say today, Mike, that this August has been the winningest month?
The winningest month in Mariners history. 21 games they won this in the month of August, the most that they've ever won in a single month.
Even the 116 team didn't win 21 games
in a month, right? Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Yeah, and it coincides at a good time with other teams tanking, Yankees, but also that. Yeah, I was watching some of the game last night after I did my podcast, and they were just saying the AL West is just the division in baseball right now, and they were like, there's a chance all the top 3 teams might all make the playoffs.
I can see that.
Just that's good for the Mariners because they're familiar with all the teams. That almost seems, I think, to help instead of going up against a team you don't see that much, like the Red Sox, or the Yankees, or Tampa, or any of those teams.
I would like to see him just win the division so you could skip that first round or whatever.
Yep, they would too.
I just want that banner to come down. One more AL West division title up there.
Yeah, they need another banner up there.
We do, man. We're due.
There is very few things as satisfying in life as seeing a banner raised. I watched the Sounders win their championship in person.
Right.
Awesome. The second one. But that the year that they raised that first banner up to that Raptors, that was a cool day.
Nuts.
Listen, I was beyond intern at this point, and I was just kind of showing up to your guys' 2000 show down there at Allegiant Fields, which was the first game since the Seahawks won the Super Bowl. Doggone it, that was the best thing that happened all day long, is when they dropped the tarp on that banner that was up there, Super Bowl champions, right up there in the rafters.
Yeah, it's just awesome, and it's so rare that it happens.
Yes,
it is. You know what I mean? Obviously the Boston people are kind of spoiled, but who knows? Maybe we could be the new Boston. Seahawks are back. The Mariners are rocking and rolling.
Kraken killed it last year.
Kraken do it. Sounders won a cup last year. A lot of stuff going on. You're a fan of Archer, 14th season premiere tonight on FXX.
Thank you, Tim. We appreciate it. You're listening to The Men's Room.
The Men's Room returns with Miles and Thrill. Now, let's see what's happening in the real world.
All right, here we go. Guess what happens when you put your head in the world's most powerful fountain? Meanwhile, a scientist puts on a bird head and then walks up a mountain. Bro brings it in and sets the world record for hugs. Robbers tried to blast open the safe at Wendy's, of all places, with slugs. And a woman and her new baby boy get their parking validated at a Maryland hospital. It is time for your headlines.
Now, it's time to hit the headlines. Here's my cock.
Top story, we're going to Japan, where a scientist wanted to study some local birds. I did love this part about it. He's an ornithologist who wanted to conduct some research on a nest of great tits in the area. That is a fact.
That is specifically what it says.
But found that they'd relay warning chirps every time that they noticed him in the woods because he's a person. Thinking quickly, the man went out and bought a rubber pigeon mask and wore it for the entire year in order to gain the bird's trust and blend in. Ted, you know those big rubber horse masks that everybody's wearing? They got a pigeon one that's basically the same thing, and that's what he bought.
All right. Actually, those look pretty cool.
They are pretty cool. But unfortunately for him, the experiment failed as after a year of wearing the mask, with the warning chirp still sounded at his presence.
Because they're now he's wearing a mask.
Right. Who's this idiot? What was that there, Ted? Sorry, I stepped on you there.
Oh, I had one of those horse masks, but over the years it bit the dust.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Damn. Okay. I remember when you had that thing. Just kind of wore out after a while.
Yeah, I don't know. I left it in the sun. It got sticky.
Yeah.
But you'll listen to the podcast. There's a great story about me and that horse mask.
I know that story, Ted. I heard that episode. Check it out at Odyssey.com. In other news. Thank you. Speaking of failed plans, over in Philly, a local fast food restaurant has great security. Around 1 a.m, a black SUV made its way into the drive-thru, and 2 gunmen stormed into the restaurant through an open back door. They held up employees demanding that they open up the safe so that they could rob it. Unfortunately for the thieves, The employees that they have at 1 o'clock in the morning don't know the combination to the safe and were unable to open it. Realizing this, the criminals took their next logical course of action, firing 4 shots into the safe. Great idea. It also proved unsuccessful.
Yeah.
They then made their escape without further incident. I'm glad that you just got to pop off a few shots at a safe.
Yeah, and again, you're asking those guys, what's the combination? Dude, we don't know.
Dude, I'm graveyard shift. I'm just trying to keep it together right now.
I'm 18 years old. I don't know.
Right.
I also don't know that I'd want to fire a round at a safe.
I would not.
No.
It's not going to go through. I feel like it's just going to ricochet.
You also wouldn't hold a place up at gunpoint, Ted.
You don't know that.
That's fair. Ted Moonlights.
I'd be pretty easy to catch.
Nah, man.
He said 2 words. We knew it was him.
Oh, no. A wheel of cheese over in Spain has just broken a world record. During their annual cheese festival, an auction was held where patrons could bid on and buy some of their favorite featured cheeses. But this one wheel in particular, a Spanish Cabrales blue cheese, I'm sure I said that wrong, broke the record after it sold for an astounding $32,000. Doesn't hurt that it had just won its respective division in the festival contest.
32 grand.
Cheese. 32 grand for
I like
cheese.
cheese, but damn.
And a blue cheese at that. Listen, if you like blue cheese, power to you.
Yeah.
But no. And that's the whole thing is that I probably said it wrong, but it is actually aged in these particular caverns in Spain.
I've heard of that before. I've heard of those before.
So I don't know if that actually makes it taste better, but it does make it a lot more
Well, if you're in a
unique.
cave, you have a consistent temperature that never goes even a half a degree up or down.
Really?
It's the bat guano.
Yeah, they are 66 degrees or whatever it is, right on the nose all the time,
and just nothing affects the temperature. I did not know that.
Yeah, that's why Germans had lager and the English only had ales, because the Germans would bury their beer underground and stuff to keep it cool.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. Okay. Fantastic. You learn something new every day. Over in Switzerland, one man takes Daredevil to a whole new crazy.
God, that's kind of stupid.
Oh, yeah. There's a water fountain in Geneva that's one of the most powerful fountains in the world, and our hero decided that he wanted to shove his head into said fountain.
Keep in mind, we're not talking like a water fountain at the mall. We're saying like the Bellagio style water fountain.
Correct. Mm-hmm. Correct. Like the big ball at Seattle Center over here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The water exploded from the fountain, shoving the man backwards, but he did not quit there. No. He rushed back to the fountain and braced himself for the blast, which fired and launched him several meters into the air and brought him crashing back down into the cement, because that's what happens. He then got back up and jumped into Lake Geneva to elude police, but eventually did have to be fished back out. He was taken to the hospital for injuries and will face charges
of being stupid.
I say you let him do it until it just fate takes him.
Until Darwin gets what he's looking for.
Exactly. You know what? If you're rushing that hard into it, power to you, big guy. That's it for your headlines. With that, Mike Hawk is out.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate it. We'll see you next time for the return of Big Dummy and the Head Chef's back with Ted's Meat and Potatoes.
Yes, indeed. It's all true. But in the meantime, well, we be all about this bitch for 180 seconds or so. So until then, please do what you do best. And for Aletha's sake, stay beautiful.
The Men's Room has been taped before a live studio audience. Wardrobe and makeup provided by Mantastic Limited. This has been a presentation of the Men's Room Radio Network.
Oh, man!
A Double Flush production.
So, I just got the State Farm Personal Price Plan on my car insurance.
So you told your agent you play the bagpipes for your dog?
What? No, I didn't get that personal. My agent just helped me create an affordable price just for me. Okay, let me show you what I've been working on. Hey, Buster!
Call State Farm agent Sierra Belleville in Bellingham today.
Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.